Okay. Can we have any volunteer from the community to open for us with a prayer? Anyone? Baluphakambisu pondolwayo iswa imithandazo yethu Nkosi sikele Thina lusapho lwayo Murena bulu kasitshaba sa Yesu ufedise dintwalim swenyeho sibuluke sibuluke sithabasa Yesu sithabasa Africa. Asibambe khona la. Deep found on sea, Warren's geprepared as far the kranse and for sounds the call to come together and united we shall stand. Let us live and strive for freedom in South Africa. our land.
Baba wethu ongcwele isenkosi yethu Jesu namanje baba ekuseni sondela kwesimakade sokulunga sizolungisa baba imfundo yabantwana bethu hamba nathi ke mesiyongcwele usihole baba usiphumelelise konke baba wethu omuhle ngaphandle kwemfundo asisilutho mesiyongcwele kukho konke baba sithandazela baba ukuhloniphana nokulalelana egameni lika Jesu mesiyongcwele sifafaza lona kule ndawo ngoKristu Jesu inkosi amen.
Thank you very much for the prayers. Thank you very much, community of Tsakane. We are unfortunately not having someone to welcome us. So I think let me welcome you on behalf of Parliament of South Africa. We are welcoming you and we are thanking you for coming and be part of this democratic process, which is a public participation process. We know that you have left your things because you want to be counted as people that has made their voices to be heard in this province as we are moving from one province to the other as the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. Without really wasting time, I'm going to allow the members of the committee that are with me here in front to introduce themselves so that you get an idea of who is here. We will have to try to limit the noise at the back. We will have to try to ask people there at the back to try to limit their noise because we can hear it up here. So let me allow the members to introduce themselves.
Thank you, Chairperson. Goeiemiddag, good afternoon, members, residents from Ekurhuleni. My name is Marina and my surname is Van Zyl. I serve in the 6th Parliament and I'm sent to the Basic Education Committee by the Democratic Alliance.
Good afternoon, everybody. Dumelang. Goeiemiddag. Molweni. My name is Baxolile Notata. I'm a member of Parliament serving in the National Assembly. I'm elected to this Committee of Basic Education and Parliament as a whole by the Democratic Alliance. Thank you.
Goeiemiddag, Ekurhuleni. Good afternoon. My name is Mari Sukas. I'm a member of this committee and I represent the African Christian Democratic Party. Thank you.
A good afternoon. My name is Ronnie and my father's name is Morwatsetla. Deployed to the National Assembly, the 6th administration by the African National Congress, and further deployed by the Chief Whip of the Majority Party to this all-important Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. And my home is Limpopo, in the town of Tsakane. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. Hello, Tsakane, hello. Hey, Tsakane, hey, ta. Nakali bitso ke nna Nombiselo Adjones, ke tswa ko Northwest ka Bodulo, ke rometswe ko parlamenteng ya botshelela ke African National Congress, ke member ya Portfolio Committee ena ya Basic Education, ke a leboga.
Dumelang, good afternoon, Molweni, Sanmonani, Abshin, my Nimacheroni. My name is Bafu Zayabo. I'm a member of this Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. I'm a member of the National Assembly in the 6th Parliament. I am deployed to Parliament by the oldest liberation movement on the continent of Africa, the African National Congress. I am from here in Gauteng. Thank you very much.
Dumelang. Legai. My name is Tebo Kholitsie. I'm also a member of the 6th Parliament, serving in the Portfolio Committee on Basic Education. I am from Gauteng, deployed in Parliament by the biggest organization in South Africa, the ANC. Thank you very much.
No, thank you very much. I think now we've got an idea that we are a multi-party committee. Mine, I'm Bongiwe Mpingo Kikaba. I'm from the Northern Cape. I'm deployed by the ANC. I am the chairperson of the committee. At this stage, I'm going to ask a representative from the Department of Basic Education, Babun Dlebe, to take us through the bill. And after that, we will proceed then with yourselves. Thank you, Mr. Dlebe.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the Portfolio Committee. May I also greet the district directors from the different districts of Ekurhuleni, members of the Gauteng Department of Education. We also have members from the National Office, the Department of Basic Education with us. We have various stakeholders that I would like to say good afternoon to you all. I thought you'll respond, good afternoon. I'm James Ndlebe. I'm the Chief Director from the Department of Basic Education, responsible for all matters around school governing bodies, including school management teams. I'm also in charge of independent schools. I'm also in charge of all districts in the country. We are the authors of the BELA bill, together with members from our legal services that are present today. It is important that we give you a background on what we're dealing with here. The South African education system is managed by the South African Schools Act. And this act was enacted in 1986. There hasn't been changes since 1986 until now. Any education system in a progressive country needs to change and keep up with the pace of the changes. And that's why we came up with proposals of the BELA bill. You're going to find 56 clauses in the BELA bill. That's what you have in your hand, about 56 clauses, where we are attempting as an education department to make changes that will take the department forward. Out of those 56 changes, you're not going to get curriculum issues. The BELA bill is not about curriculum. You're not going to find inclusive education. You are not going to get extracurricular activities in it. But what you'll find in the BELA bill are basically the management and governance issues that the department wish to introduce. So if you don't find those things, it's not a mistake, it's a focus on management and governance. We're focusing on the rationalization of schools. We're focusing on the elections of SGB elections. We're focusing on schools for specialization. We're focusing on grade R, code of conduct, and all those type of things, which then assist the department to run the school. This is based on the department's own investigation during monitoring and support, where we believe there are obstacles that prevent us from achieving the objectives laid down in the Constitution. It is also done because sometimes the department is taken to court and the court makes a ruling, and you know every rule of a court becomes a law later. So we needed to keep pace with those changes that are in there. I'm going to focus on a few sticky issues, not the entire 56 clauses that are in there. One of the sticky issues is the code of conduct for learners, that schools are allowed to develop code of conduct for learners, but those code of conduct must be in line with the policy, the constitution, and legislation in totality. Where sometimes you find disruptions in schools is because learners are demonstrating against some clauses of the code of conduct. Things like hair, things like ukufaka isiphandla. And sometimes learners get expelled for reasons that are unknown. And the BELA bill is beginning to say these are serious misconduct cases that you must put in the code of conduct and forget about the trivials. So that's what you'll find in the BELA bill. The BELA bill is going to even include issues like disruptions of schools, because there's a tendency that when communities fight ESCOM and they want to fight the Department of Water, they then close schools. If they want roads, they close schools. We want to make it a law that everyone who prevents children from getting to school then must be arrested and must be liable for a fine or even a jail term. So this law is saying, stop this locking of school gates and prevent children from getting to school. And we want to be given authority to arrest those people and take them through. That's what you'll find in the BELA bill. The BELA bill does focus on the finances of the school. These are public funds. And anyone who uses public funds needs to use public funds in terms of what the law determines. For example, we're saying the law must allow the SGBs to inform parents about how they are going about the business of spending their money. When they call those annual general meetings where they discuss the budget, the SGB must not hide other things, including how they pay teachers additional finance funds. This must be revealed and parents must know what they are voting for. We're also saying, if you're using public funds, we're requesting that we be allowed to receive quarterly reports from those who are using school funds. At the moment, SASA allows us to get reports on an annual basis, but you're saying it becomes too late for us to find out if money is being misused in a school. So we're requesting that SGBs, as they spend money on a quarterly basis, they must report to us. SASA doesn't give us powers that allow us to investigate serious financial mismanagement in schools. We're putting it in the BELA bill so that the HOD is allowed to even employ investigators should there be an indication that there is mismanagement of funds. That's what you'll find in the BELA bill. The BELA bill also proposes how issues of alcohol should be managed in a school. It's a sticky area. It's a sticky area because as we speak, there are schools that have facilities, that have equipment, that are running programs such as sports. If it's a Saturday, there are those schools that will run a lot of sporting activities, even cultural activities from from morning till sunset. Those will be doing rugby, swimming, sports, because they are capable of. I'm going to be very controversial here and say these are things we don't see in black schools because sports then dies. But there are those schools that are able to organize these big events. And we're complaining about parental support all the times. And when these schools organize their activities over weekends, parents come and support those games. They sit there the whole day, supporting their children as they play. It is this act that we're saying, allow those schools to sell alcohol if they are able to follow the rules and regulations on how to sell that alcohol. They've got special fields, they can have beer gardens, they have rooms where they can open up. Why stop them from allowing parents to get in there and have a drink as they support their children? We're not opening spaza shops to sell alcohols. We're not opening shebeens to sell alcohol. We're saying schools that have the capacity to be able to cater for parents as they support, allow them. Why do you want to stop them? And we're saying, but those schools must apply and indicate that they have the ability to do that. So that is one of the controversial acts that we need to deal. Another one is the central procurement. We're asking that the act must allow for central procurement. Central procurement means schools come together and be able to purchase LTSM material, textbooks and stationery together. It is not in the act. So the interpretation is that the department wants to buy material on behalf of the school. When you read what is in there, it's saying we should allow any group of schools to come together and buy in bulk for the economies of scale. That's what it says. Not somebody buying on your behalf. It says the HOD must be able to give that permission and communicate with SGB and agree with SGB if they want to be part or not into that type of a process. That is central procurement. But the most sticky parts are the language policy and also the admission policy. When you read the BELA bill that is in your hand now, it's saying SGBs must continue to determine the language policy of a school. It doesn't say they are taken away. It says they must continue to determine the language policy. But the rider is that the HOD must have a final say should your language policy not be in line with policy and constitution. Now, the sticky part is we feel as a department we can't give the entire authority to the SGB to determine language in such a way that when they want to do whatever they want with the language and we can't intervene as a department. As it is now, SASA doesn't allow any. We're talking language because we believe mother tongue instruction is important, but that mother tongue instruction gets eroded if there's a policy that will prevent a certain language to be taught in a school. Hence we're saying, can the HOD intervene? Demographics are changing. Whether it's Springs High, whether it's Boxburg High, wherever, the children that are in there are only doing English and Afrikaans, irrespective of the fact that the schools have 80% black faces in there. And we're saying, if we need to introduce an African language, it is important for the HOD to be given the authority to do that. And if the HOD doesn't have that authority, we will continuously have languages that are marginalized. We're trying to prevent these children that start grade R doing English and Afrikaans until they finish school and they never learn their black language forever. So we want the HOD to indicate, and this is something that must happen every 3 years as demographic changes, as new language grouping comes into the area, introduce the language that is spoken by the people in the community and not remove languages as some interpretation says. This goes together with admissions, that the admission policy is still the custodian of the SGB, but the SGB needs to account for what the admission policy contains. Is the admission policy biased? Is it discriminatory? And who can judge should there be some discriminatory clauses inside there? It should be departmental officials, and we're asking for that power that to be able to intervene. It doesn't say all admission policies are going to be scrapped, but we're saying do it. But should we find a clause that is discriminatory, the HOD must have authority to deal with that clause in consultation with the SGB. The last sticky points that I want to deal with, Chairperson, is the issue of homeschooling. As a department, we recognize and we realize that there are people who are not comfortable in sending their children to school for many reasons. And the reasons are maybe the child has some disability, maybe they want to teach them the culture, maybe they want to teach them their religion and so on. The BELA bill allows for that. The only thing that the BELA bill requests is that should you want to homeschool your child, please apply to the department. Let us know what your child is doing. What curriculum you want to teach, that BELA bill you have doesn't prescribe what curriculum you need to teach. It doesn't say teach caps. It doesn't say anything. But it's saying, please do indicate what curriculum you want to. And finally, that BELA bill says, as the child progresses at home, there should be an assessor that will determine whether the child is progressing or not. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
No, thank you very much. Okay. Thank you very much, Ntathu Ndlebe. We need to agree on how we are going to move forward now. Myself and yourselves, as I am going to be chairing this session. One is that we are going to allow you to come to this chair and speak on the bill. And as you speak on the bill, obvious by now you know that you are dealing with about 56 clauses. And we would want you to tell us who you are when you approach the mic. And we would want you to tell us whether you support or you don't support the bill. So you would be Bongiwe Mpingo Gigaba, I support or I do not support the bill. And then you would substantiate, if you want to substantiate your reasons. We have got forms here that are on the, where are they? On this table. The other one, or they are there at the back. There is a gentleman and a lady at the back that have got these forms. These forms are for the people who do not prefer to come and speak here. If you want to write, you write, and in the form, you are supposed to give us your name, you are supposed to give us your address, you are supposed to give us your contact numbers. And you are supposed to state whether you support or you don't support the bill, and you are supposed to write your reasons therefore. It helps us also to deal with the issues of time, because once, if you are going to speak, you are not allowed then to fill in the form. And if you are going to fill in the form, you are not allowed to come and speak here. So we need to agree on that approach. It's going to be like that. For people who are blind, we do have a version, the BELA version for blind people. It's on the table here. The Braille, the Braille version. You can get it from the table. I am going to first allow 15 people from this side to raise their hand. I'm going to note them. They will come, they will speak, and then I'm going to come this side. So you must sit where you are. You don't need to panic and think that we are not going to come to you. We are going to start this side with 15 people. They will speak, and then we are going to come at this site and identify other 15 people. But please, if you feel that you don't want to speak, get a form, write on it, and then you don't have to speak. Can I note hand? You've got 3 minutes to speak. If you are not done, we are stopping you. We are stopping you, so you must speak for 3 minutes. That is the time that is allowed for you to speak. Baba with a blue top. As I note you, please go to the chair so that we are not causing confusion. The second one is you, Mhlekazi, with a brown top. You go to the chair. The third one is a lady with a black top. You go to the chair. The fourth one is you with a navy. Yes. You go to the chair. The white top, your hand is up. 5, 6 next to him. If you have collected the form, then you are not supposed to be on the line. 7. Okay. And then there is a red. There is a red. Yes, yourself, sis. Yes, you. Yourself. Yes. Next to him. Next to him. Yourself? Yes. 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 I've got one more chair. Yes. Okay. Arisumulule papa. Kana what?
One, two. Okay. Let me greet everyone. Ngidumedise umuntu lemunga lentenhlong. Ngibulise wonke umphakathi okhona. Chair, thanks for being given this opportunity to present or to acknowledge the presentation which was done by Ubabundlela. From my side, let me introduce myself. Kalbizo Kilshonolo, Khauwe. Today, I'm a community member today, but I'm from Gauteng Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in Gauteng. For today, on the things which are being said by Ubabundlela, I'll be saying we are agreeing with the changes in terms of the clause, and we support the changes. Firstly, when we look at the issues around the liquor at the schools, it might be against our norms and values as black people. And the other issue, when you take the issues that regards to the issue around the admission in terms of another clause, we see Gauteng, there are many issues ezenzakalayo. Other kids, they end up bavalelwa ngaphandle because of this admission. But in this admission, labantwana mayengaba bavalelwa ngaphandle, and a decision ithatha i-SGB, and the department ayinikezwe power. I end up iyenza i-department as if they are not doing their job. But my presence around it will be to say, let's give the department that power in terms of whether the discretionary might be taking and the powers might be going to the department straight, other than being the SGP who are deciding for this. But anyway, yeah, it will be my input on that. Thanks.
Sanbonani, Chairperson, because of my 3 minutes, I won't go through the chairs, and so my name is Lucas Mfundisi Khoza. I'm a member of the community. I have been a member of the SGB since and the time of the first black minister in South Africa, Ubaba Ubengu. So I support the bill, but I've got few things that it's a request from the community that I'm representing and from my research. One, we have got a challenge in a language policy, which language policy, I think it's better if the HODs, the HOD must look to it, because the issue of policy actually is influenced by the SGB, but without, according to my point of view, without a proper education and proper research. I will make a simple example from where I am from in Vosloorus. In my ward, we have got 3 schools. One is a secondary, 2 are the primary school, which the 2 schools are feeders to the secondary school. So when we make our research, we discovered that the other school, the first language, actually the language that is used in the school, it's an English, and from the foundation phase. So the other school, it's an African language. Now, when those 2 schools are feedering this secondary school, according to our research, we discovered that most of the disadvantaged children are from the school that is an African school. And then the research goes on, which is unpaid research, goes on and to come to a point where we say, what is the reason why the African language school, foundation phase school, it's having a problem? It is because when they start from the beginning, most in our township we have got mixed cultures. Some you will find out that the husband it's a Tonga speaking somebody, the wife it's a Xhosa speaking somebody, the child is doing isiZulu. So when the child comes home, find it difficult to be helped by the parents, because both of them, they don't understand what the child is learning. So my appeal, I don't know whether it's going to make a sense, but my appeal is, and then maybe before we can decide the language that is going to take place in that school, let us make a research, and then what language is, so that maybe to start a child with English and then it goes up to the intercell, and then from intercell, a child now...
Your time is up. Your time is up. Thank you.
Ninjani, siyaphila. Mina I'm against le bill due to the fact ukuthi elokishini la sibuya khona we are challenging a substance and drug abuse as we speak. So now if we suggest ukuthi kuthengiswa utshwala esikolweni, I think it might cause damage kakhulu, because even if bathengisela ama parents utshwala, anytime kukhona abantwana around alcohol, I think izoba i-bad impact emphakathini. Thank you so much.
Can we get your name? You did not tell us who you are.
My name is Naomi Mbamba.
Are you supporting or not?
I'm not. I said I'm not.
Oh, okay
Yes.
then. All right, thanks a lot.
Good afternoon, honourable members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Leon Fourie. I'm representing the Skoolondersteuningssentrum and I do not support the bill. In 1994, all communities in South Africa expected a dispensation where their language and cultural rights would be protected. Only in the past 10 years, 1 in every 6 Afrikaans schools became English-only schools. The language of learning and teaching in those schools are English. It's not isiZulu, Sepedi, or isiXhosa, it's English only. Mother tongue education and indigenous languages and cultures are not promoted in those schools. All language and cultural communities expected to be promoted in the new South Africa. The proposed amendments to the bill, and specifically Section 6 of SASA, grants the HOD the power to decide, direct and inform schools to change their language policy. This is a clear violation of the Constitution and the original meaning of SASA. The Afrikaans community is very serious about this issue. 20 organizations representing more than 570,000 households in South Africa signed a public statement. I have this statement with me, stating that the BELA bill is a violation and a breach of the 1994 constitutional settlement, and that this breach of trust will be irreparable and permanent should the bill succeed. Communities and school governing bodies should have the right to decide on the language of teaching and learning, as we have public schools and not state schools, as in the previous government. Thank you.
Okay. Good day. My name is David Mahlangu. I'm a SANCO member, actually a SGB member as well. I will stand here just to confirm that I support what the department wants to do. Actually, I support the bill right now because I will continuously remind ourselves what are we about? We're about unity, strategy, social cohesion, and plenary. So I will concur with the department to intervene because we do have challenges with regard to administration in schools. And with regards to the challenge with regards to liquor selling at school, it must be reviewed. I'm a little bit confused on that, but I can't concur with that of selling, allowing them to sell liquor at school. But the other one for administration and language changing, I concur with them. I thank you.
Dumelang. I'm Fraser Kwamane, the member of the SANCO, ANC, and SACP and SGP. I do agree with this bill, but the problem is we've been hijacked. We didn't have preparations in what is being presented here. The thing of disruptions in schools, we've got a problem committee in the whole country, especially in our townships. We've got an aging infrastructure. Then our people's rights to showcase that they are not happy with what we are seeing in our townships. They do this thing called toy-toying to attract you people to come and fix our infrastructures. That's why I'm saying we can agree with this, but based on the conditions that we are having as a country, we are having a very, disgracing image. And then on the issue of liquor, it won't be right to have liquor in our schools. It won't be right. We'll be in a mad society. Our kids are not behaving at the moment. So when you bring liquor, you are bringing more a chaotic situation in our schools. We don't want that. And then in the issue of administration, we are having a problem because we've got white schools that doesn't allow black kids to go there. We are in a democratic South Africa. Every child has a right to go to the school of his choice. Therefore, you need to amend and look at that area of focus and make it a point that our kids are accommodated in every school around the country, irrespective whether the management is white or black or whatever. Every kid has got the right. Thank you very much.
Yes, he said so. Also, just to say, you don't have to feel pressure of English. Use your language. If you want to speak Afrikaans, we've got interpreters. If you want to speak Sepedi or Ndebele or Xhosa, speak your language, or Shangaan, any language. So feel English is much better because it's quicker for us. But for you to express yourself, you can use any language. I just thought I must clarify that.
My name is Don Patlamhlaka. I'm a SGP member and also a member of the biggest organization. I support the bill in totality, but I've got reservation on some of the amendments in the bill. One is the one of liquor. I really don't support that because even though in the explanation of Mr. the one who was giving us the presentation to say it will happen over the weekend, but because if the liquor is being sold in the school premises, that's my problem. Even though it's over the weekend, I don't support that. And then on the language policy, I do really support that. Admission, but I will say on the admission part is that a grade R learner should not be compelled to apply online. After she completed his grade R, he or she must move to grade 1, not go and apply online. I don't agree with that. So you must just go to the next grade, which is grade 1, not apply online. But in totality, I do support the bill. Thank you.
Good morning. I hope you are all well. My name is Disetso Santos. I am the HOD of Youth Sector in the Ward 44's Councillor's Office, and I also come as a community member. Well, I can say I partially support the bill, but I believe our community members have said a mouthful about the issue of alcohol in schools. But I'd like to maybe address a few issues which there are four. The first issue is about the praying in schools. We understand that there are different students who come from different beliefs and traditions. I would love if the department would take back the issue of schools assembling and going back to the prayer routine, but maybe this time using a moment of silence where each and every person will pray according to their belief on their own. And then there's an issue of classifying our public schools. I mean, there are public schools in the townships and in Germiston and other places in town, but they are not really the same because in public schools and townships, we found that we don't have ICT labs, especially in your primaries, and we expect our children to be learning, going to the 4th Industrial Revolution. We would love to have such things be implemented, especially in township schools. And then the issue of textbooks. Maybe it would be better if we refrain from using textbooks and go to e-books, because it will save us many issues that schools are facing, especially in township schools, where they are facing corruption on procuring textbooks and all those kind of things. So if maybe that can be implemented too. And then there's the last issue of the GDE online system. I would like to plea with the department to, I like the system, but I'd like to plea with the department to maybe nationalize the system, but also, let's also, before it gets nationalized, can it be thoroughly implemented, the system, because we have realized that the system doesn't have troubleshoot procedures. Like there's nowhere where you can get assistance when you have any issues or challenges. Those are my submissions for today. Thank you.
Sanbona, igaba nguSikhumbuzo Shalala, from what committee, youth sector, he had a portfolio leader. So, we are, hence I'm dealing with challenges for youth in our challenges amaningi. So, maso allow alcohol to dominate eskolweni. It's going to destroy the future yabantwana eskolweni, because tomorrow I never was a focuser in what in Zabo, but I was a focuser actually. When now we have a situation here, young teenage pregnancy, ama weapons eskolweni. In other words, is safety yabantwana besikolo are equal right, including nama teacher are equal right, because sometimes never za fundi, aksaso fundi umbuza nye homework akawenza umsebenzi wesikolo. Kuba crisis because mamkhuza uzabe sok disrespect ak insulter. So izinto ezinjalo support ukuthi destroy from now. Hence the challenges isibhekane nawo ekolweni awasekho ama sport activities kangako. Cala bekhona ama netball, tennis, soccer, kula amakhwaya and all those things. But now all those things azisekho. So we must go back to the basics and kube khona all the people who are leading from the government on top, because when abantu for different portfolios, for sport activities, art and culture, they must try to come back and go to schools and bring back all those things to activities, youth participate. Education is a key to success. So youth is achiever. So most of alcohol, it means our killing youth. We have a situation it's very painful to find out umuntu bofunda naye uthibana naye sayindlela ngakusasa esikoleni makakubiza lo muntu loyo uyakhona ukurecognize ukuthi lo muntu bemfunda naye mawena mawumbona you feel painful ukuthi ngathi ungam pretend as if you don't know this person because of if future yet destroy youth. So youth we are fighting our rights for youth. So let's do not allow the alcohol to dominate eskoleni. If youth my funde is kubeke sibone kube yabonesa nabo doctor I submit. Thank you.
You did not tell us whether you support or you don't support the bill.
Okay, so in terms of selling alcohol in schools, I don't support that one.
You support the bill, you don't support clause 8 of alcohol?
Yes. No, I do support the bills. But in terms of alcohol being allowed at schools, I do not allow that one. Yes. Thank you.
Translation?
Briefly, the gentleman has just mentioned that his name is Khumbuzo Shalala. And yes, he partially supports the bill. And the only thing that is against it on the bill, it's alcohol, because alcohol destroys the lives of our students. And as we can see now, we see the pregnancy, unplanned pregnancy, and as well as this affect the safety of both the learners as well as the teachers. And as well as we see the increased number of disrespect. So all this, it's because of alcohol. So what he's requesting now is that if at school we can go back to basic, where we'll have a number of sport activities that will keep our kids at school busy, and they will be able to achieve, such as Bafana players, Lucas Hadebe, he mentioned a number of them who were able to achieve a lot because they were busy, instead of smoking nyaupe, because sometimes you meet your classmate and you are afraid even to introduce yourself to him because of the nyaupe. So the only thing that is against on the bill is the clause about alcohol. Otherwise, he is accepting the bill. He's not rejecting the bill at all.
Yeah, but don't contradict yourself. You can't say partially and then you come back. You must say what you said.
Khoto, Kitebo Tsiane from Fosloras, ke support a bill, even though go to other clauses, then specifically it talks about the white schools, which most of these things then are done in public schools, but not in private schools, which I believe then it's a separation. Then I will opt to say, then we better, since we all know this, we have public and private school, and be specific, public and also private school, it is what is applicable. Since then, I believe relebo holo ka proposal ena bakeng la hore le rona is not a secret ya hore then go di private school na ntho tse leng di a hlahela at a later stage through media, social media, and then and which I believe some of their root causes di kentswe hona ko proposal ko di proposal ya rona ya submission ke leboha haholo empa yona ya jwala yona ke hanana le yona tu ke a leboha.
Translation.
My name is Teboho Tiani. Briefly, I support the bill. And I would also like to thank the Parliament for having brought this bill to us. And there are things that appear from the private schools that come to light through the media. Then, yeah, in short, I support the bill.
No, thank you.
Can I? Okay. I reject the part where it says that alcohol should be allowed in schools.
No, thank you very much. I'm not sure if I'm audible. No, it's fine. Okay. So, yeah, my name is Khoto, and I am coming from the EFF Students Command and the EFF. So we partially support the bill. And then, of course, I will deliberate where we are differing. Firstly, to the members of Parliament that introduced themselves as coming from the oldest organization. This bill has been since reviewed in 1986. And that on its own tells us that we are not paying attention to the core of the future, which is the young people. So I don't think we would be proud, of course, introducing ourselves in that light, because as things stand, we are completely against high schools, primary schools being situated next to taverns, because people have billboards of Black Label being 20 right directly in front of the gate of the school. That means we are selling, in essence, alcohol to young children. So if people want to organize fun days and want to sell alcohol in claiming that they want to support their children, they must go support taverns and not come to school. We don't promote alcohol at all anywhere near schools. So we also need to deliberate on the issue or where we support taba ya gore, principals are now going to be allowed to assess the attendance of learners. And I think this is important mainly because looking at the stats we had last year where in 100 students that start from grade 1, only 3 are going to graduate. And then this just tells us that there are 93, we are losing 93% of kids. So of course we just need the support from the SGB going back and checking what is happening so that we reduce the dropout rate in schools. And of course, since we have reviewed this thing in 1986, that is why we are only speaking of officially recognizing grade R. We are supporting this thing, but we are going to further persuade the country that we need to begin the education of children from ages of 3, because scientifically you can prove that a child can grasp a concept from ages of 3. So grade R, 6, between 5 and 6 is too young. We are still going to come back and say, no, let's make it from 3 years old, which will be part of early child development. The last point, of course, would then be that we support, with that we would also persuade, in line with this one of home education, that we are guided by the principle of one education, one country, and totally distance ourselves from independent education board, and that we should then...
Your time is up, fighter. I'm sorry.
Good day, Honourable Chair and members. My name is Lisa de Villiers and I am 14 years old. I reject the BELA bill, particularly clause 37. I want to begin with a quote made by Albert Einstein. But if you judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it is stupid. If I am assessed by a stranger who does not know my struggles and passions through a criteria based on a curriculum I did not follow, how could I ever attain success? I, like most homeschoolers, am taught basic knowledge and facts alongside practical skills and abilities. My parents rightly know what information will be necessary in my life, whether it is at university, work, or home, and can judge whether I am ready for new challenges based on what I have completed. Another reason I reject this bill is because of my own experience. I've experienced public, private, and homeschooling, but passionately prefer homeschooling. In private school, I would do the math I had done the year before as a homeschooler. In public school, I hungered for more information that engaged my mind and held my interest. Now, as a homeschooler, I am satisfied and sometimes overwhelmed by the amount of wonderful, relevant information that I have access to. My third reason is South Africa's motto. The motto of South Africa's national coat of arms is unity in diversity. How can we be a diverse nation if everyone is taught the same in the same way? At present, we are diverse in the sense that many children are taught the same fundamental knowledge, but through different methods and from different worldviews. Please do not try to take our rightful freedom of belief and worldview. Lastly, consider Matthew 18, verses 5 and 6. Where it is written, "But if you cause one of these little ones who trusts in me to fall into sin, it would be better for you to have a large millstone tied around your neck and be drowned in the depths of the sea." Jesus is clear about the consequences of misleading children. He has given parents the responsibility to teach their children since the world was created. There are parents who choose to withdraw from their children's education. But those who nurture and educate their children responsibly should be left to do so as the Lord commanded. Thank you.
Nyanbingalela nonke. Igama uPetros Wakatamane from Davidson. A member SGP. Apinde abe yilunga lenhlangano enkulu kakhulu emhlabeni wonke. I support the bill, fully support the bill. Ngaphandle nje kwalomthetho lo otshwala. Lo otshwala bathi charity begins at home. Imzile ubaba lo uqale wasichazela la ngikhohlwe nje isibongo sakhe. Uthe utshwala lo uzosetshenziswa for ama fundraising ezikolweni for abazali. So ngiyaphikisana naloko because yiwo ngithi charity begins at home. Abantwana bethu masingabafundisi utshwala. La khona thina khona masifundisa abantwana bethu ngemfundo. So ngiyaphikisana naloko. Ngiphinde futhi ngiphikisane nalendaba yemfundo eziwu2. Private and public schools. Ufika uthatha umntwana la uthumusa esikolweni lesi sabelungu ngokusho kwabantu. Nawufika lapho uthola ukuthi umntwana akakhona ukwamukeleka lapho indaba zokuthi umntwana esikolweni bathi kwenziwa iAfrikaans. Umntwana wenza iEnglish. Ndaba zokuthi ngoba i-private school kunama private school bathi isiZulu abasenzi. Thina sithatha umntwana udumusale kodwa imali ube unayo bathi umntwana ngeke bamthatha. So ngiyaphikisana nale ukuthi asibe nemfundo eyodwa eSouth Africa, public and private kube imfundo eyodwa. Ngiyabonga.
My name is Petros Damani. I support the bill. The only thing that I don't support on the bill, it's the matter about the private school, because sometimes you find that you take your kids to a private school. When they get there, they only teach them in Afrikaans. They take your money, but at the end of the day, your kid will never be helped because of the language that they teach there.
Right, okay. My name is Emisha Mashawu from the Congress of South African Students and also under the ANC. We reject the admission of schools policy, and it must be amended due to the fact that some schools are built in areas filled with disadvantaged students, of whom mostly are black. And therefore, a budget must be set aside so that these schools must be able to admit these students, as it cannot be that students in walking distance from the school are denied quality education due to financial problems. And then the second one I rise on is the language policy. We approve it, but however, it must be implemented that in schools of black majority, failing Afrikaans must not be a valid reason to fail the year, as it is not an internationally spoken language, so it is not important enough to fail a student. Thank you.
Aye, Baba. Jonga put. Aye, Kosas. Awubuye. Kosas, the bill. Are you supporting or not supporting the bill?
We support.
Thank you very much, Kosas.
Good afternoon. My name is Mahlomola Molefe, and I support the bill except for clause 8, because I'm totally against liquor being sold within our school premises at any given time or day. I believe there's a whole lot of creative ways to raise funds if that might be the case. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Now I'm coming to this side. And I am going to note 15 hands. One, two. As I note you, please go to the chair. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No. Then yes. Navy jacket, spectacles. 10 next to you. 11, 12. 13 Muruti Waruna. 14. 15. 'I'm coming back. I am going to come back. I'm coming back.
Ezansi kancinci. Isezansi kancinci. Ezansi bhuti kancinci. Ewe. Nantsoke. Ngiyathetha. Oh, my name is Mzima Singailu. I had a stint of working at 120 Plain Street at GCIS many years ago. So I'm now back to my call as a teacher. I am the secretary of the school governing body in Davidton, Etwato. So I've read through, I support the bill. I've read through the bill a few days back, and I've picked up few things. And thank you, Mr. Ndlela, for highlighting some of the things that were in your summary. Thank you very much. My first concern is around the finances of the SGB. The SGB dictates that we should have somebody that we can co-opt from the community or from the parents to assist with the financial expertise if there are problems within the SGB finances. What I would propose is that we should have a structure like an oversight on SGBs. An oversight that will look into, I know there's NASCHIP and all that, but without the waste of time, as my second point would be on relating to the alcohol selling of alcohol in schools. I went to BELA Primary School, I went to Tsakane Higher Primary, I went to Ulwazi at Davidton. They are still like that, there are no resources. Therefore, we must put a stop or the end to selling of liquor and all those other activities that are done by other schools until BELA and other township schools are at the same level, or if not so, honorable members maybe work with COGTA to develop our areas so that we are on the same par. Maybe we can talk when we get there, but that should be suspended with immediate effect, selling of alcohol at school. And then the other issue that is omitted, Mr. Ndlela, I should think, I'm open under correction, the issue of uniform, selling of uniform in schools. That logo is the property of the school, like the logo that we see here in Parliament. For me to print anything that has to do with Parliament and sell it for my gain, I think it's not proper. And we should have a guideline for the service providers who are selling uniform to be able to give funds back to those schools that they're selling and so on and so forth. And then the language policy, I'll be blatant, members of Parliament, it's biased language policy. It favors white people.
I'm a South African, I'm just going to be blatant and say it favors white schools. If we can have a Van der Merwe who is doing isiZulu or isiXhosa as a first language, that will be proper. I think you should include that. That is discriminatory on its own. And then I'm moving towards the admission policy as well. When it comes to the system is biased. It cannot give Van der Merwe.
Your time is up. Your time is up. Your time is up. Xa ungene emoyeni siyakukhupha.
Okay, can I continue? Okay, afternoon everyone, all protocol observed. My name is Xoli Sibego. I'm the deputy principal of a school in Wattville in Benoni. That is Wattville, not Wadeville. Most people say Wadeville. It's Wattville in Benoni. Yes, I support the bill. However, I've got issues that I need to address. The selling of alcohol, it's a no-no, looking at the situation in our country. So that shouldn't be bring to our school. Number two, the demarcation of schools when we apply for our children, that should be taken out or scrapped altogether, because I think we are all equal. Parents should be allowed to take their children in the school of their choices, not being held back by the demarcation that is set by the department or the SGB of the school. And then I would like to, it is not in the bill, but I would like to propose that it should be included. The attacking of teachers by students, that needs to be looked at, because we are looking at teachers attacking or applying corporal punishment to learners. What about the students that are attacking the teachers? What needs to be done in that case? I thank you.
Good day, my name is Natasha Christophos. I am from Arab Park, Nigel, Ward 88. I am the ECD chair lady for our area. I am in favor of this bill. However, it is good to see that it's compulsory for all our children to attend the grade R classes. It is good to see that the roles and responsibilities of our SGB members or board members, our principals, parents and learners are being laid out and explained in detail. It is good to see all this financial management that's going to take place in our schools. However, I'm totally against the fact that alcohol should be allowed either on our premises or functions, based on the fact that it will lead to a can of worms being opened for abuse to take place, physical abuse, alcohol abuse. Already we are sitting with a problem where drugs is an issue, alcohol is also an issue, it's just not being acknowledged. Based on that, before I'm being switched off, we don't have space in our schools for our grade R learners. Where is our schools? Our ECD centers. In our area, there's just not enough space. I would plead to our government, please come and see how overcrowded we are in our ECD centers. There's land available that we are waiting to be released to build in ECD centers. There's an ECD center that's been vacant now for longer than a year that we are waiting to be released from our government, and we are just waiting and waiting in vain. So please, and yes, the languages is good, but we are not qualified to teach any other language besides English or Afrikaans, because there's a statement we've been raised on. So yes, do the amendments, implement it, but also educate us. Thank you.
All protocol observed. My name is Jamie Lee Mnisi. I am the chairperson of Asinavalo Community Forum, and I am part of the Young Women's Desk. We would like to, as Asinavalo Community Forum, welcome and support the bill with some proposals to be added. Under the corporal punishment note of the bill, we welcome the definition to be extended and would like for it to include non-physical violence in the form of threats, insults, and even for initiation to be included as part of corporal punishment. Regarding the language policy and centralized curriculum, if you will indulge me, Madam Chair, school is meant to be considered the second source of socialization. It's not the primary source of socialization for children. So language and culture and tradition should be learned at home as their primary source of socialization. The purpose of schools are to be used as a vehicle to socialize children from families into becoming active and responsible citizens. Therefore, the language policy in that case would create uniformity and social cohesion in the sense that all languages will be regarded as equal, and it will also increase the integration. The last, the bill was formulated in 1986 and the last amendment in 1986 clearly indicates to us that this bill is being drafted for a completely new generation. I was born in 1996 and the children that we teach now are not the same children that we went through school with. If you look at the bill as it currently stands and the result of the language policy that caused learners, society as we see it is still fragmented. You still see remnants of division and you still see fractures of apartheid in how people engage with each other, and this is because as a vehicle, schools were not used to properly socialize and create social cohesion. Through the changing of the language policy, this will result in all learners and all cultures and all traditions to be seen as equal, because schools will create citizens. They won't create family members, they won't promote traditions, but it will create a hegemony in society through centralized education. It's not to say that SGBs should be completely eradicated and their roles completely obliterated. No, SGBs should be led and centralized under one umbrella of the government. The amount of schools that there are in South Africa, it can't be that each SGB leads and makes their own roles. Yes, parents birth their children and they raise them, but you're not birthing children for your family, you're birthing citizens for a country, you're birthing leaders of a nation. And if all those leaders of the nation are not united under the same vision, are not joined under one central vision of unity, it will result in the fragmented society we still see almost 30 years post-apartheid, because the hidden curriculum is what you see in schools. It can't be that almost 30 years later that everybody is okay with the fact that that school is just an Afrikaans school and only Afrikaans-speaking people are allowed in that school. That creates a mentality within us as a society which is still carried on from apartheid. Thank you so much. I submit.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goeiemôre, mevrou die voorsitter. Baie dankie vir die geleentheid om hier te wees. For time, I'll switch to English. We partly support the bill. The reason for that is we'll get a lot of objections today or in the other hearings against the bill, but I'd like to focus on a few things that we'd like to add to the bill. The first thing is a clear definition of meetings. We're in a technology era and we'd like you to include online meetings, online voting, and so to extend the opportunity for people to attend a meeting, not formally sit in the same place together. So we need a clear definition for meetings. With regard to Section 9 of the Schools Act, we'd like an extension. A pupil at a certain stage can appeal to the HOD when he's expelled to the school. We'd like the extension so that the SGB can also appeal to the HOD if they're not satisfied with the ruling done by the HOD. So allow the SGB also to make an appeal to that. The next thing is there's an informal structure called the National Consultative Forum, and in some provinces there's a provincial consultative forum. We want those things to be legalized so that it's a legal responsibility for the HOD and the MEC of the province to meet with formal governing body associations. So we plead to formalize these institutions in the process. The last thing I'd like to request is to make provision for additional learning. As I mentioned earlier, we're in a technology area. We must make provision for additional learning in the law, not only to attend the class physically, but also to do that online. So that's my plea, to add these things to the bill as we partially support the bill. I think I didn't mention my name. I'm Ben Ferreira. I'm presenting FETSAS. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good afternoon, members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, and thanks for the hospitality of the organizers. My name is Charlotte Fourie. I'm a mother, a teacher. I started school in 1998, 2 years after education in South Africa was finally in the hands of every community by law. Next year, my own children will start school, and they are now tragically faced with educational law that steals education from the hands of their parents, me, and the community. Why, not even a generation later, are we moving backwards? I do not support this outdated bill, and this bill will have an enormous negative effect on the already fragile education system in South Africa. BELA will not solve discipline and safety in schools. This bill will not encourage the government to build more schools or give schools equipment and resources they need. This bill will not help schools fight the economic crisis and will not enable teachers to do an excellent job. But let me tell you what this bill will do. BELA moves towards centralization of state power, which time and again has proven to be inefficient, dogged by corruption, out of touch with communities, and which violates the democratic rights of South Africans. We, us, you and I, wherever we live, we should be responsible for our schools. How can we trust a centralized power to tell us as parents what our children need, while it can't even build us enough schools, support our teachers, or provide our children with electricity during school hours? Yes, we need amendments to educational law, but BELA fails to address even the basic shortcomings. The state does not give money where it is needed. It has done nothing to enable children to go to school in African home languages, but instead wants to make everything English and have more power and influence to promote its own agenda, not what we in our communities or our homes want or need. We are still waiting for any curriculum in another language besides English or Afrikaans. Because of this and many other reasons, I ask politely that BELA be withdrawn in its entirety and referred for thorough reconsideration. Please stop this power grab of my children's future.
Your time is up.
Yeah, right. Okay. All right, okay. Good afternoon, members of Parliament and all protocol observed. I am Julia Hlahle, the principal of Moriting Primary School in Tembisa. I am also the South African Principals Association president in Gauteng. I support the bill. I'm actually so happy that finally grade R is going to be made compulsory in our school. And that is our wish, because we know that the government will provide physical resources, human resources, and fiscal resources. It will also assist us as teachers and principals in schools to be able to identify the learning barriers that our children are having from an early age. It will also assist in terms of the registration, that our learners will be automatically registered in the schools where they are, unless the parent choose otherwise to take her child to another school. I am also supporting the disruption of classes, because this thing of disrupting the classes, especially in the township schools, is hampering our learners, and it's also delaying their learning. It is difficult for teachers to make a catch-up, and once a day is lost, the whole learning of a child is disrupted for the entire year, and it will be difficult at the end of the year for that learner to be able to respond for the work that he has to respond to at the end of the year. With regard to homeschooling, I'm also supporting it, but with a comment that it has some gaps in it. And it does affect schools when that learner, in the process, a parent decides that he is no longer able to take care of the home learning of that child, and the learner is taken to the schools. It becomes difficult for the schools to gauge where the learner should be placed in terms of the grades, because in schools we are having grades, we are also having phases. So that is a very difficult thing that as schools we are faced with. Thank you.
Morning, members of parliament, all protocol observed. Why me Morgan Nuguslebe, get chairperson wa the principal mo ikruleni, ke support BELA bill. The only thing that we want is support from the department to say, for an example, if we are saying in terms of language, we want to introduce the African languages in the former Model C schools. The department give us teachers for foundation phase, grade 1 to 3, for us to introduce the African language. But in grade 8, they don't give us the teachers. So now, there's no continuity. Then it kills that aim of introducing the African languages in those former Model C schools. And it is a disadvantage to African learners, because then they are forced to learn in Afrikaans, even though they don't want Afrikaans. But because they are faced with dysfunctional schools in the township, they don't have a choice. So we need to give them a choice. All right, the issue of admission policy, we fully agree with the BELA bill to say the admission policy must be endorsed by the head of department, mainly to protect the Africans so that when they want to take their kids to those former Model C schools, they are able to without any hindrance, because it has been used as a sort of segregation. Let me just give an example to say, I'm also a principal of a former Model C school. I've just taken over. But what we have witnessed in there is very shocking, because people were chased away based on language. So we are busy transforming those schools, but we'll need support of the department to say, as we need the resources, they must provide us with the human and the physical resources for us to make sure that the African languages also take a center stage in those schools. Then we'll be addressing that. Now, I have another issue which is very, very, very crucial. the code of conduct, the old code of conduct in the former multi schools, which do not recognize the African religion and the African beliefs. Let me just give an example to say, before I became a principal, I was a district official. I was observing grade 12 learners writing, and there was this child who happened to have ancestral calling during exam, and the child was taken out. After some time, when the child is taken back after those things ceases, then they say, Chaile.
Chaile now. Your time is up.
Khotso, ke a le dumedisha ka mokana lena. Ke nna Ntate Lekhwele, and I'm from the Democratic Alliance. Firstly, Chair, I would like to say I totally do not support the bill. Firstly, it is going to be a grave mistake to allow the selling of alcohol in our schools. Remember, our kids look upon us on how to conduct themselves. Even if we are not going to sell alcohol to them, but they will get an alternative way of accessing alcohol somewhere. Secondly, I've got a problem with the auditing of the financial records of our public schools. You find that some of the schools, they use the same auditors for more than 2 terms. And this leads to the building of corrupt relationships between the schools and these auditors. And you find that in some instances, the department is dragging feet in addressing issues of corruption in some of the schools. You find that cases are opened about the misconduct and misuse of the students' funds. And when the department has to address those misconducts, it takes a very long time to deal with these cases. And that is where I find it being problematic. This leads to the improper functioning of our schools, whereby you find that most of the funds of the schools are being used in things that do not bring progress to our schools. Thank you.
Yes, your time is up. Thank you.
Sanibonani ke abahlezi ngaphambili noluntu lonke noko ngubaba uMhlanga lo i-provincial chairperson e-National Association of School Governing Body la eGauteng. Siyabonga baba uNdlebe ukusipha ukuthi kumele siphendule kulama clauses awu-8 enisinike wona. Eyokuqala ye code of conduct of learners. Kukahle vela ke ishintshe ngoba labantwana bethu lapha esilungwini bayahlukunyezwa uma bafake iphandla ake ishintshe leyo. Number 2, le yokuvala kwamagate ezikolweni vele labo bantu abavimbela abantwana bethu ngaba kuhle ukuthi vele ake bayogcinwa lapha eModapi, sinayi prison no eModapi ngoba baphazamisa abantwana bethu. Omunye uvuke ekseni nje athi hayi namhlanje ngiyovala istrati, then so yovala vele abantwana bangayikwazi ukuya esikolweni. Le yama finances sicela ukuthi ake senzeni kube kusemthethweni ukuthi at least 2 times a year senze i-audit hayi le quarterly ngoba sikhuluma ngemali ezobe isetshenziswa la kulama auditors ngoba nawo afuna ukubhadarwa nabo bonke labantu aba involved kuleyo. Bese kuthi kuleyo ukuthengiswa kotshwala bakithi hayi ezikolweni phansi ngaleyo asifuni ukuthengisa utshwala ezikolweni noma niphuye kanjani ngilungile ngiphuyile ngingabese ngiyokwenziswa into engafuni ukuthi yenziwe. Utshwala njena abuzange balunga emntwaneni nakumuntu omdala noma ngabase groundini abanye babese baziphatha kabi bugadalalo. Kule yokuthengwa kwe procurement cha bakithi asivumi ukuthi i-centralizwe ngoba phela uma kunalama stationary suppliers bona bazawubese bayithola phi leyo mali ngoba yonke le procurement izabe seyibekwe endawo yinye. So sicela ukuthi leyo iyekeleleni ma SGB. Bese kuthi le language policy I'm happy parliament lakithi nayibeka clear nathi at least one African language must be introduced kuma ex-Moldesi school. I problem ikithi thina ma governing body we don't want ukuthi exercise that right, but ke ngiyayicela vele si stress ukuthi uma abantwana 80% bakhuluma isiZulu akufundiswe nesizulu kuleso sikolo. Uma kuyiperiod eAfrikaans ngapha abanye abayesizulwini ngapha up until kubonakale ukuthi siyaphi neAfrikaans. Lo mqondo ukuthi imali isaphethwe ngabantu abamhlophe ayiphume kithi nathi sinayo imali yokuthi singabaqhasha abasebenze. Eyogcina le admission ugrade R wethu sicela ukuthi vele automatic angabe apply online ngoba vele ngine trust kulesikolo la ngisekhona umntana mu grade R automatic akaye phambili. Bese kuthi le home
isikhathi manje isikhathi sakho sesiphelile uyayisupporta uyisupporta ibill
njoba ngisho mama ngithi okunye siyakusupporta okunye asikusupporti.
Uyayisupporta uyisupporta ibill cha kunebill and then sewusitshelile ukuthi awusupporti le sewusitshele khona ukuthi awuwasupport. So sifanele usixelele ukuthi ibill yona yonke le uyayisupporta na
kuloku oku 8 enisinike kona. Ngibele ngibeke kahle mama mhlali sihlalo because of angifuni ukuvalelwe khoneni angithi kunezinye izinto engibonela phephepheni ubaba uNdlebe usiphe ezi8 ekumele sisho ukuthi siyayisupporta na lezi ezi8 ngicacisile la ukuthi lokhu siyakusupporta lokho asikusupport angithi
ibill yonke
kokunye siyayisupporta kokunye cha.
Ayi ke mfundisi. Okay, translation.
My name is Baba Mhlanga. I'm a provincial chairperson of the governing body here in Gauteng. Thank you for the opportunity that we got and to comment about this bill. So first of all, I want to mention that I'm happy about the code of conduct because it will help our kids because many of our children are being harassed at school. So now that we have this code of conduct, it will be of great help to protect our kids. And secondly, when we speak about those people who stopped our children to go to school, I think those people should go and be arrested at Modapi because that is totally wrong to stop our children to go to school. And the third point about the audit, I suggest that the audits should be done 2 times a year. I think it will help when it comes to audit. And another point, when it comes to selling alcohol at school, we totally reject that because we believe that alcohol, it's not good actually for everyone, not only for the kids only, but as well as for the adults. So we reject the selling of alcohol at school premises. When it comes to procurement, yes, it shouldn't be centralized. I think that responsibility should be left in SGB to handle it. Another point is language policy. I think it's good when it comes to language policy to see the majority of the school. If the 80% of kids at school speak Zulu, then that's the language that should be chosen to be used at school. And the last point, it's admission. And I think that one is clear because you trust the school, so there's no need to apply online when it comes to admission. So those are the points that I thought I should share with you, and I partially, as he mentioned, I accept the bill.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, members of Parliament, the community of Ekurhuleni. My name is Tsulofelo Podlani. I'm a member of Parliament for the Democratic Alliance. Honorable Chairperson, I think Mr. Ndlebe, while we welcome the presentation that he made to the meeting, he more defended his work than really assisted the process in terms of how he directed himself. I think in future it would be great for him to direct us as community members and not just defend his work. Chairperson, I think the issue of school governing bodies are exactly the people that come out of the communities, and in more instances are people who have children in those respective schools. And what this bill aims to do is to take away powers from the school governing bodies, the people that are in the community that at first glance do understand the challenges that are happening in that particular school. So what this bill seeks to do and seeks to centralize the governance of schools across the country, it is going to take us backwards because we cannot have a blanket approach in terms of how we deal with education. We cannot have a blanket approach in terms of how we deal with schools because, as we all know, there has not been equality in the provision of education. And to my next point, Chairperson, there has been a systematic failure to address issues of education in South Africa. That's why you see children coming from Ekurhuleni and traveling almost 10 kilometers to travel to a school. Already when you are on the road driving at 6 a.m., there are children who are traveling over 10 kilometers to get to a particular school because we have failed as government to ensure that the township schools are able to come to the same levels of what we used to call Model C schools. Had we done this as government, Chairperson, we would be sitting with a bill that is trying to redress what was corrected post-1994. So the failure to redress the injustice of this school system in South Africa brings us to exactly where we are trying to get powers away from the SGB. As we speak in South Africa, you've got children that are still learning under trees. You have children that are subjected to pit toilets. As we speak, the UN has declared Wi-Fi and access to Wi-Fi as a human right. These are the conversations that we should be having so many years after we've cast our first democratic vote. Instead, we are going backwards in terms of where the power should lie. This bill aims to centralize the governance of schools, and it is exactly what we do not want. Chairperson, the bill is talking about the minister having powers over special schools. It goes as far as saying that the minister will decide how many members will be able to go to form part of the school governing body in a special schools. Special schools are a very delicate sector of our education, where you have parents with children with special needs who need supports themselves. And more often than not, with inadequate resources to assist those children to be able to be the best they can be in a society because society already rejects them. So the proposition that the minister will be able to make a determination on how many members of the SGB should be, I do not agree with that. Chairperson, homeschooling is one system.
Time is up.
Good afternoon, members of parliament. I am Marius de Vos, an educator by profession.
Please listen to him, please.
I am Marius de Vos, an educator by profession and a councillor in the city of Ekurhuleni. Having sight of this bill raised a couple of serious concerns. Among others, clause 2, making grade R compulsory. The DA does not support the clause in its entirety for obvious reasons. It will cost government an arm and a leg. To make the grade R compulsory, government will need to make huge investments in building classrooms at schools as well as training specialized grade R teachers. We cannot afford this currently at the rate this economy of South Africa is growing. Clause 4, the admission policy. The DA rejects this clause. We do not believe school governing bodies should lose their power to determine the admission policies for schools, unless the admission policy are being used to discriminate against learners. It seems to me when the authors of the bill sat down to write this clause in particular, the clause which was adopted in 1995 at the Freedom Square in Kliptown, which stated that the people shall govern completely escape the minds of the authors of this clause. Therefore, if there are instances where admission policies are being used to discriminate against learners, the DA believes that an appeal mechanism must be put in place. Clause 5 of this bill, language policy, again, the DA rejects this clause on the language policy. We do not believe that school governing bodies should be stripped of their power to make language policies at their particular schools, unless a language policy is being used to discriminate against learners on the basis of culture, language, and so forth. The head of the Provincial Department of Basic Education should definitely not be allowed to have the power to change language policies at schools. In my view, it is a clear attack on schools that are still presenting Afrikaans.
Your time is up. Your time is up.
Good afternoon, honourable parliament members. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm Anarine Wenold. I'm a proud South African citizen, educator, and homeschool parent. Now, Nelson Mandela famously stated that education is the most powerful weapon you can use to change the world. Now, as with any weapon, you can use it to attack or to defend, to build up or to break down. Now, I understand and support the need for change of education in South Africa. I mean, we live here and we experience the effect of the lack of proper education for our children. But I reject the BELA bill, as I believe that it contains several clauses that will break our children and greater society down and violate our South African Bill of Rights, which is a cornerstone of our democracy. In particular, I reject clause 41 of the proposed BELA bill, which allows a minister to make regulations concerning learner pregnancy and to entrench the CSE programs in schools. This clause clearly violates section 15 of our Bill of Rights, which provides for freedom of religion, of belief, and of opinion. I thus ask that the proposed bill be amended to include freedom of conscience protection for our families and for our educators. Otherwise, it's clearly used as a tool of destruction. Secondly, I reject the BELA bill and in particular clause 37. This is a section on homeschooling, which inter alia states that home education learners must be assessed against the national curriculum statement. In the world in which we all live, our children have access to a multitude of world-class and very cost-effective and technologically advanced resources, which have proved to be beneficial in learner development and progression, as we've experienced with our own children. Home education also do not only benefit those children receiving home education, of which there is an estimate of over 200,000 in South Africa, but because of that amount, it benefits the schools, public schools, and the children in schools as well, as the homeschooling environment then saves the state approximately 4.6 billion rand per annum. So instead of hindering our South African homeschooling families who choose a different path, we should applaud them for their sacrifices to ensure that our South African children can continue to discover and develop their unique God-given talents so that they in turn can be a valuable contributing community member and leader.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Afternoon, members of the Parliament. I'm against the BELA bill, and I am strongly against the fact of us losing right to choose what education we have. For in our national anthem, we sing South Africa, our land. Not your land, not my land, our land. So we are losing the freedom to choose our education. And I'm also against the fact of alcohol being on school premises, where me being as a learner knows the fact that it will ruin many learners' lives because of parents not being able to control the fact that they're drinking, and they'll most probably allow their children to drink with them. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
You did not, just sorry, did you tell us who you are? I'm sorry for this, we could not get it.
My name is Ivan Teisner.
Thank you, Ivan.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols observed. Opposing the bill, okay, I'm totally against it. It's taking us backwards instead of taking us forward. I'm actually asking myself if the people who actually introduced the clause of alcohol being in the premises of the school, or where the kids are present, kids under the age of 18, as it says in our law that no kids under the age of 18 should consume alcohol. In our constitution and in our laws, it says kids should not be in the tavern. Isn't it contradictory that we are actually bringing alcohol into the premises where the kids are present? I find it very appalling that I'm actually asking if the people who actually introduced this clause, once already bled, their visions bled and their minds intoxicated by the same substances that they want to actually introduce to the school. And I'm actually against it also because financially it doesn't make sense. Does the department have the capacity to review the financial reports monthly? Will schools be burdened with the reports which the department will just file? Review of admissions policies to be sent to the department within the 30 days of the BELA bill being passed, again, does the department have the capacity for this? Will this not cause bottlenecks? How does the bill plan to deal with the undocumented learners, considering that the basic education is right in SA? Amen.
Okay, I am coming now to my right-hand side again to note hands. And I am, you come late and then you come and make, because I'm coming back. That's what I've done. Let me chair these sessions, please. The authority is within me to do that. This is Parliament, this is not your house. So in Parliament, you listen to us, and then in your house, we listen to you. Okay, there is a hand right at the back, a black. Yes, that's number 1. And then there is a school uniform, navy and blue. That child there, yes. And then the mother with the orange hat, that is 3. And then, yes, there is a black and white cap. And then there is a child with a paper on. White, yes, you are looking at the back yourself. Okay, and then there is a jean top. Yes. There is a blue. And then there is a white. And then there is you with a black and white t-shirt. And then there is you with a Kaiser Chiefs. Yourself, is it Kaiser Chiefs cap, that one? Oh, Mara, that cap with Kaiser Chiefs colors. Yourself? Yes. No, the child, the school child. And then when, the 3 of you, in that order. Do we still have chairs? But I want to finish now this side. Which one? The school child? All right. What I'm seeing 2 hands this side. I want to allow you to queue there as they come. You also go, because I am finishing now this side. So the 2 of you, yes, go to the back. Who else? Oh, the cap at the back. Yes, I know, but I'm finishing now. There is more 3. There is 3 more. Okay, can we listen now to each other? Thank you.
Okay. Hello, my name is Ukanyang Aka. I attend homeschool. I reject the bill, specifically section 37. What I had noticed about homeschool, it gives me less emotional stress. It allows me to work at my own interests, and it has a wider range of secondary languages. Homeschool has benefited me in a span of less than a year, that I have overcome my anxiety of speaking in crowds. I used to get very anxious in traditional educational systems for continuous testing, overwhelming homework, and peer pressure. Homeschool has allowed me to choose from
Sorry, there is a lot of noise. Please, when you come to the podium, you would also want to be listened to. Please.
I can choose from my interests. A homeschool allows me to finish school with a skill. For example, I take coding as a lesson. And I think by the end of the year, I can have a skill in coding. Thank you.
I would like to say good day to everyone in the house. My name is Mahlatsi Munyamedi from Mamelong Comprehensive School. I would like to say I fully support the bill. Thank you.
Order, order, order.
Lebitso la ka ke Elizabeth Sekete, ke motswadi. Ke la ka leo. Gobaneng ke na le ngwana e leng gore ke semomi, e leng gore kwa 90. O na tsena sekolo a dula moo. Ka baka la tlhokomelo e ke senang yona jwale ka motswadi, ngwana wa ka o ile a felletša a tsenetse tša maleba ka gore o ba se gona kgausi ga ka. Jwale ke re I support the bill gore tše ka moka re tle di kgone go diragala re itlhokomelele bana ba e leng ba rona. Ke a leboga.
Translation.
My name is Elizabeth Sekete. I'm Tswana by birth. I support the bill. I've got a disabled child born in 1980, and I tried to send him to school, and unfortunately, because I don't understand issue of being disabled, he ended up going the wrong way. Thank you.
Before you start, ma'am, we have people outside. So for those people that have spoken and who have given their forms and who don't mind leaving so that we can allow others to come in, we would appreciate if we do that. So that we are able to allow others to come in, but silently so. If you want to leave, please open chairs for others. You can proceed, ma'am.
Thank you. My name is Sarki, and I am representing my children today, and I think many other children as well. We reject the BELA bill. I want to read to you Galatians 6 verse 7. It states, "Do not be deceived. God is not mocked, for you reap whatever you sow. God's intentions will not be avoided, and God's will not be mocked through neglect or through defiance." We can be sure that the Creator of the universe is in solidarity with children, and that He expects of us, you and me and the government, to devise godly social perspectives, policies and practices that are in line with Him and with His word, which is holy, alive and well and active in this beautiful country today. The BELA bill slowly, and its lawmakers are slowly attempting to sever the God-given right and privilege of parents to educate their children at home. It is attempting to introduce new ungodly CSE contents into school, attempting to promote the use of alcohol after hours on school property. This is a challenge towards God's will and his intentions for our children. In James 3, verse 1 to 2, it is stated that, "For you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness." It seems that our Creator sees any type of teaching in a very serious light, and so should we. We as parents, if we choose, are willing to take this responsibility. Why? Because we love our children unconditionally, without wanting anything in return. We as parents do not need a government to prescribe to us who our children are, what they need to know and what they do not need to know. After all, we have their best interests at heart, absolute best interests. We have the right to choose that our children receive wise, godly counsel in their formative years that aligns with our faith and our moral convictions. Not, for example, to be indoctrinated with dangerous CSE education. In conclusion, we especially do not agree with Section 37 that supports application to homeschool instead of notification, pre-registration site or home visits, and student evaluations. We ask that not only for Section 37 to be amended, but also Section 41 to be revised. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Kamohelo Masugu. I serve as the Branch Secretary General of the ANC Youth League in Ward 76. I support the bill, and we'd like to appreciate the fact that the Department of Education has decided to take into consideration the governance of schools. And since we're talking on governance, I'd also like to raise the fact of appointment of school principals in schools, which is a process that has been highly politicized and has been causing a lot of disruptions in schools. And secondly, in terms of the language sector, I want the government to be highly cautious on that, because it could highly emphasize the inequalities, so that those in African schools, obviously they would be more advantageous than those in black schools. So the government has to be cautious in terms of those ones. The racializations of schools, it's a process that the government cannot just do anyhow, because in terms of the racializations of schools, once you have blacks on one side and whites on one side, it emphasizes inequality. Thank you.
My name is Hopewell Mgomezulu. I'm from the EFF in Ekurhuleni region. First thing I want to comment, Chair, we are aware of the comments made by the young lady, the 14-year one. Those quotes, we don't want to dwell on much about the matter, what, so that one will give it another day for it. So we, as the EFF, are in support of the amendment bill of the South African School Act, which seeks to make education from grade R to grade 12 and the criminalization of anyone who blocks children from attending school. Making school compulsory for all children going age is necessary intervention to ensure that no children is out of school. This, however, does not address the societal problem underlining and the absence of some children from school. The bill makes no provision on the kinds of steps that may be taken into instances where children are not attending school because they belong to a child-headed household, for instance, and where one child is forced by the circumstance to take care of sibling or parents. There must be a provision of collaborating work with social development to ensure that the social hindrances to school attendance are addressed, and prioritizing the interest of children more than anything else. And overall, the bill itself is progressive, and the various provision made in the bill seems to make an attempt to bring administration of basic education in line with the development that have been taken place over the past decade. So we as the EFF, we support the amendment bill. I thank you.
Sanbonani, igama lami uDumelo Mahlong. I'm an EFF member. So I'd also support the bill. So I also want to disagree with the selling of drugs at schools because alcohol is the easiest drug to access. So we can't be promoting drugs in our schools. So we have enough promotion and advertisement of drugs on TV and billboards. We can't take those to school and promote in front of children. So yes, we disagree with the selling of drugs in schools. And also to the young lady from the Afrikaner community, we got the message. So she can go back home and tell them we got the message, as she referred to the verse in the scripture that talking about Matthew. So my sister, we got the message. You can go back home, tell them we are ready. So that means everyone missed it. So I can request her to repeat the verse so that everyone can be up to date. So we got the message, sister.
Order. 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 He said we did not hear, I did not hear, and looks like the table did not hear. So we don't know what the lady said. Can we proceed, please?
Things to the members of the parliament. My name is Mongezi Shabalala, member of the COSAS in Guatemala branch. I say I support the bill 100%, but I object on the point where it says we should be sold alcohol at our schools. I object that because I'm one of the learners and I see how the teachers are struggling with us without alcohol and those things. So I'm asking myself, if we will be sold alcohol in our schools, how will the teachers cope, as they are not coping even now where there's no alcohol, no drugs at our schools. So I say I object on that point. That thing should be removed. I submit, member of the parliament.
Kosas, ayihlale phansi. Kosas, order.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Siyabonga Nkotha, the former regional deputy chairperson of COSAS in Ekurhuleni, a member of ANC Youth League and a member of African National Congress. I unequivocally support the bill, but ours will be short and simple. Is this one of selling of alcohol in our schools, because according to the policies of liquor stores, a tavern must be 1.5 kilometers away from school. So selling alcohol within our school premises won't be the solution. And this thing of buying textbooks in bulk, I think the only solution for that is one student, one tablet, or one student, one laptop. For implementing that, it will also prepare our brothers and sisters who are planning to enroll in the higher institution of learning and teaching. Amandla.
Oh, I thought that was Kaiser Chiefs cap. Mara, it is ANC cap. So it's same colors.
Okay, thank you, Chair. My name is Eddie Maseko. I'm a product of COSAS, but I'm the chairperson of the SGB at Nigel High. My issue here is on the access to schools when people are applying at the beginning of the year. There is somewhere in your amendment bills you are saying that parents who submit fraudulent documents which will place their kids in the school when they are supposed to be there should face some consequence management. I am not supporting that one because some of the parents are so desperate that it is desperation that leads them to do that, because these people are closing their schools from access to a black child. So I am saying that as long as the parent affords to send the child to a school where he or she feels the child to go to, it needs to be supported instead of being taken to prison. Can you imagine incriminating our parents because they were trying or they were pursuing a goal of having their kids being enrolled at a school of their choice? So I don't support that one, which begins to say that parents should be arrested or there should be some consequence management. But the issue of the language policy, when I'm listening to you, we are not addressing the core issue when it comes to language policy, because in our schools, we are introducing English and Afrikaans in other schools as an extension of languages. But what we want the overall turn up of the education, in that if I'm a Zulu speaking person, I should be able to learn history as umlando esikolweni, geography as science as a science, because most of our learners are failing in the schools because they've got the language barrier. First of all, it's not that they are maybe not brilliant, but the problem is before they can assimilate the subject matter, they should first have to interpret it. So that is the one that is causing a problem. So the issue of the language is that you should overall the syllabus. People who want to do history as Omlando should do that. Maths as Izibalo should do that. It should not be seen as if English is the only language that can be used as the medium of instructions. Thank you.
Sorry, are you supporting or not supporting the bill? We missed that.
Unequivocally, I support the bill with the riders that have been.
Thank you. Next.
Thank you. Good day to you all. My name is Balenhle Mngoma. As the Deputy President of the school at Zimisele Secondary School, I'm also the PRO of all the circuits in KwaZaDuza. I support the bill, but I don't support clause number 8. And I also support monitoring learner attendance, because if the learner is absent for some days without valid reason, the class teacher concerned must report the absence to the principal. Clause number 8, I don't support clause number 8 because alcohol has a bad influence, and which includes fighting, insulting, etc. The solution instead of alcohol, why don't you address, or why don't you introduce alcohol, why don't you introduce agriculture or arts, e.g. drama or doing painting, drawings into schools, including sports, or maybe we can do having practical things to do at school. Thank you.
Next.
Honourable Chair and members, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Gregory Pereira, representing my family. I oppose the BELA bill in its entirety, especially section 37 and 41. Matthew 18 verse 6 says, "But whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to stumble and sin by leading him away from my teaching, it would be better for him to have a heavy millstone hung around his neck and to be drowned in the depth of a sea." Martin Luther said, "I am much afraid that the schools will prove to be the great gates of hell unless they diligently labor in explaining the Holy Scriptures and as engraving them in the hearts of youth. I advise no one to place his child where the Scriptures do not reign paramount. Every institution in which men are not unceasingly occupied with the Word of God must corrupt." Africans love their children. That's why they want big families. They don't want to kill their children through abortion. Also, they don't want their girls as young as 12 having an abortion without parental consent, which the BELA bill proposes. Africans don't want to have their children be taught homosexuality, LGBTQ, and transgenderism, as the BELA bill proposes. This comes from the West, which has increasingly become anti-Christian. Africans don't want this, as can be seen from Uganda, who has brought in laws against homosexuality to protect their children. One man said, "Teach your boys to be men before the school teaches them to be women." Jean-Jacques Rousseau started the concept of public schools. He took his children to orphanages when they were born. He said that he really cares for our children. That sounds a little bit suspicious to me. John Dewey in America took over schools in America and made them state schools. This was about 200 years ago. Before that, homeschooling was a norm. Parents had the say in their children's education. Famous people, scientists and inventors were all homeschooled, like Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Edison, George Washington Carver, Alexander Bell, the Wright brothers, and famous tennis players, the Williams sisters. Schools have become an indoctrination centers instead of education centers, teaching militant LGBTQ ideology and transgenderism. This is contrary to African values. We should protect, shelter our children in order to prepare them for life. May all government ministers become true ministers for God, reflecting religious freedom for Christians in our laws, not just in sentiment. God has given us a responsibility to teach our children. We don't want the government to undermine this. This is statism, which is another religion. Thank you.
Honourable Chair, honourable members, I'm Nadia Pereira, representing my family. We are Christian homeschoolers. I reject the bill. I reject clause 37 and 51 in brackets and 41. I've only briefly looked at the rest of the bill, but I'm also concerned about many other clauses. BELA bill infringes on my religious freedom rights to choose a curriculum for my children according to my Christian beliefs. The bill strengthens the state's control on our children and undermines the parents. Proverbs 7 verse 1 says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom." Matthew 18 verse 16 says, "Teachers," and he teaches, "anyone causing a child to sin would be better off drowning." Proverbs 19 verse 21 says, "Cease, my son, to hear the instruction that causes to err from the words of knowledge." In clause 41, the minister gets broad powers to issue regulations like a blank check, enforceably by law with jail time. It gives her total control to the agenda of the curriculum, while they are not sympathetic to the Christian beliefs and morals. A ACD representative said the minister consulted transgender agenda and the DBE is planning to implement this in schools. We will not be able to stop even our 12-year-old girl from getting an abortion or know about it. And CSE has anti-Christian, immoral teachings produced by Planned Parenthood. Pestalozzi Trust was concerned about a request made at a Council of Education Ministers meeting in 2017. I quote their words, "The implication of scrapping homeschool should be explored, and religious fundamentalism could also be a factor in this regard. The Bill of Rights says everyone has a right to freedom of conscience, religion, thought, and belief of opinion. Limitations on curriculum choice look like a way to limit Christians' right to believe. The intent of the bill seems to reveal anti-religious thoughts. Don McIlvaney said, "Communists always negotiate for what is yours, never what is theirs. What this bill negotiates for is ours." God gave parents children, and he will ask parents to give account. We as Christians do have sympathies from Parliament. Please, can we see it on paper in our laws? I appeal to you, Psalm 7 verse 1, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Let us fear him alone. There are too many tyrannical clauses in the BELA bill."
Hello. Good afternoon, honorable members. My name is Niresh Padal. I am a homeschooling parent and I object to the BELA bill and more specifically sections 37 and 41. Like thousands of fellow South Africans, I have been following this bill for a very long time. I have watched most of the provincial public hearings and I know that you have heard it all. And I fully agree with all the people who have stood before you objecting to this bill and all the reasons why sections 37 and 41 should be removed. After hearing everything that people have said, if by now you are not convinced that sections 37 and 41 needs to be removed and this bill needs to be stopped, then I don't know what I can say to convince you to remove sections 37, 41 and to stop this bill. Instead of standing here and repeating everything that was said already about how good homeschooling is and how it is a fundamental part of our education system or how it is a way of life for so many of us, I am going to talk to you about history. The things that I am going to say to you are the things that are written in our CAPS-aligned and prescribed textbooks. It is what our schools are teaching learners in school. For those of you who know the curriculum content for grade 8 history term 1, you will know that the first industrial revolution started in Britain. It was because of a demand for sugar in Britain that my great-great-great-grandparents and my great-grandparents were brought from India to Natal to work on the sugarcane plantations. For those of you who know the curriculum content for grade 4 history term 2, you will know that Mahatma Gandhi introduced the world to satyagraha, non-violent resistance and peaceful protesting. Mahatma Gandhi introduced the world to satyagraha at a time when people from designated groups had to carry a registration certificate. These past laws became a major component of apartheid that focused on separating South African citizens. If you make it compulsory for homeschooling parents to register to home educate our children, ironically, you are reintroducing past laws. You are making a designated group of people apply for a pass to do something we have a right to do. I know I am not Mahatma Gandhi, and I will never achieve the great things he achieved, but you have an opportunity to achieve something great by stopping this bill. Gandhi once said, "Be the change you want to see in this world." I am asking you to be the change our world needs. If you cannot or do not want to stop the BELA bill, remove sections 37 and 41 from the bill. Lastly, I want to say, homeschooling is not for white or Christian people only. It is for all of us. It is universal. Namaste. May the light in me honor the light in you. Thank you.
Oh, okay. All right.
Good afternoon to you all. I am Balisa Mabi. I'm standing prior to you as the president of Simisele Secondary School. I support the bill, but I don't support clause number 8, which talks about alcohol, because that's the sign of corrupting the school and teaching children to drink alcohol, which will later lead to abusing of alcohol in our communities. How can we sell alcohol in our schools while they teach us not to drink alcohol? Instead of introducing alcohol, why don't you introduce boys' talk? Because boys discriminate girls and they think all bad things they are done by girls. I thank you.
Good afternoon. Protocol observed. I am Boyim Nisi from Fosloras, ACDP member and also school minister. About language in our schools, let other learning subjects be taught in English from grade R. Then home language can be a subject of choice for the learner. Reason, because English is not to replace home language, but is to expose or introduce or prepare a child for more opportunity in future by able to use English. Prayer or morning prayer at our schools. It is very important for a parent, for every parent to know and understand that every child must be raised by or through godly principles. Without godly principles in a human life, future is doomed. Proposal about this: let morning devotions or morning assemblies be introduced. It will help a child to grow and to recognize their creator, which is the sovereign Lord. Discipline in our schools. It is not a child not disciplined at home cannot be disciplined at school. Proverbs 13:24, it says, he who spares his rod hates his child, but he who loves him disciplines diligently and punishes him at early stage. If discipline or respect can start from home, no child can undermine any educator. Proposal on this: let government bring back the rights of parents over their children. And I also do not support the selling of alcohol at schools.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Zingane Zanele Mlambo. I was born and bred from the dusty streets of Tsakane, and I am working under the education department. I'm so impressed to hear our colleagues' parents quoting from the Word of God. And let's imagine if God did not give authority to Adam, if God did not choose David, if God did not choose Moses to take out the children of Israel from Egypt. Therefore, there is authority within the Department of Education. There will be authority. There will be a minister. There will be an HOD in each and every province to give authority. And if we remove Section 37 and Section 41 from the bill, then we are saying, do whatever you want to do. We've got quality assurance. The education that we offer in this country is guided and guarded by rules and regulations, acts and policies. Therefore, we need to ensure that we uplift and strengthen the authority of the minister in appointing persons, groups, or organizations that will advise on curriculum and assessment. In addition to that, I support 100% the insertion of Section 4A with regard to monitoring learner attendance. And I also support the policies that will be developed by SGPs. I support that, but those policies must be approved by authority that is put there. So we can't have a country without authority. Even in our homes, parents are there to put authority for their children to be guided and guarded, to be advised. Therefore, I fully support the bill. Thank you so much.
She's very eloquent. She's very eloquent.
Yes, very clear.
Yeah, you're right. Good day, parliamentarians. My name is Mzaupeli Mdingi. Firstly, I am 100% in support of the bill. But then there are few pointers that maybe I would like us to deal with. More especially the issue, firstly, of corporal punishment. You see, our schools are a playground of lawlessness. Our kids do not do their work that has been given to them by teachers. Our teachers are frustrated and demoralized on the ground. It is because of this clause that talks to corporal punishment. Only if this clause can be outlined correctly so that we are given as teachers as to how can we punish these kids. Because they are just ungovernable. If you look at our results, if you analyze them, they are from a situation whereby these learners are not punished from schools. Our teachers are victims of parents who are in defense of their lawlessness kids. Our teachers are taken to courts now and then by these parents who know more of their rights, more especially this one of corporal punishment, more than anything else. But they are not helping their kids to do their homeworks at home. And now we will be talking about an education system of South Africa that is not working and stuff, whereas there is this clause which the very same parents are taking advantage to demoralize our teachers. Yeah, I think this one of homeschooling, I support that it must be just abolished, that thing, because when those kids who've been subjected to homeschooling coming back to the mainstream, they're so confused. They must be at school. Let us, I think maybe you can deal with the issue of our principals being overwhelmed by being paymasters. I think that must be dealt with. It must come here. If ever to be a paymaster as a principal is part of your duty, then it must be in the bill. So that our principals are not confused on the issues of they are paymasters at some point and all those issues. The centralization.
Your time is up. Tishara, xesha liphelile Mdingi. I'm going to my left. I'm going to my left. Going to my left. The lady with the black top, right at the end. Mama with the cream. I'm not sure. Yes, you looking at the back. Tata or mama, I'm not. Oh, call that. The red and black top. Yes, yourself. Striped top, jersey. Yes, the navy jersey. Yes. The black top. Yes, you. The another black top. Yes, you. Gray top. Whenever. Yes. The blue top. Yourself, Nana. Purple. Yourself, ma'am. Next to her. Yourself. Red tie. Do you still have chairs? Any more hands? This side? Any more hands this side? I'm closing now. 1. Yourself, yes. And the last one there. If you did not speak, you want to say something, please do it on the form. I'm not going to take any other hands after these ones. We are closing now. Let me allow you, Ntate, you are the real last one now. I've just allowed one more, the guy that is coming. He's the last one, yes. He's definitely the last one. Yes, we have closed now. No more other person. It's the last round. Thank you.
Greetings all. My name is Prudence Mabasa and I am from Brakpan. I am a chaplain as well as a media liaison officer for ACDP. Now, I completely reject this bill. And the reason why I completely reject the bill is for one, it's actually clause 37 of section, clause 51, and also clause 41 of section 61. All of these actually literally just give state the rule over our children, yet at the same time, state has failed our children already. One, the kids are still being raped in schools. They are statutory raped by the teachers. Have we dealt with that? No. Yet at the same time, you are giving the same teachers the right to tell my child that they can abort a child. It doesn't make sense to me. And also then, we are saying, okay, fine, underage drinking. Underage drinking is obviously, it's unlawful. Even taverns are not allowed to sell to underage children. But then we are going back to what we did with sex. We said only kids who are over the age of 16 are allowed to have sex. But then kids who are under the age of 12 are allowed to say, okay, fine, I can abort a child. Now we are going again, doing the same thing. A law that says underage drinking is not allowed. But then in schools where underage children are living, it's allowed to be sold. Doesn't make sense to me again. Then we have DACA. I've been working with drug rehabilitation for years now. DACA is a gateway drug. And you can't tell me that a child who is inebriated with drugs and with DACA will be able to focus in school. Yet your section here says, a definition for a drug is inserted in order to better accommodate the kind of issues with which schools struggle in relation to drugs, by means of referencing applicable drug-related legislation, to make provision for recent legislative changes in regards to cannabis. As a result of the insertion of the new definition, the definition illegal drug is therefore deleted. Are you telling me that you want to give kids who are still learning a drug that will stop them brains from being productive, giving them alcohol, which depletes brain cells? That is the reason why I completely reject this bill.
Right. Thank you. I greet you all. My name is Michael Maziboko from the DA. I don't support the bill. First of all, we also, because this section, in section 22, it says withdrawal of school governing bodies, and we don't support that. We need the school governing body to represent the community in schools. The BELA bill will take away the school governing body's power to make decisions about languages and admission policies in school. Why does the government undermine communities in this way? Because in our children that attend the schools, therefore we must involve the matter such as languages. And with a smile, we have 12 languages in schools. I think human rights, they are also supporting in that. Let us not undermine to say we don't allow other languages because we have 12 languages in schools. And also, I also don't support the issue of drugs, liquor at school, because we send our children to schools, not the people who are drinking or using drugs at schools. This is our kids, the kids that we think that they have future. The future is in their schools. And the other thing that I want to emphasize is that the teachers, they must also learn other languages. Because we have 12, we cannot separate others. And lastly, we also want the monitoring of students in our schools. And so that our children cannot utilize the drugs and alcohol. So we are not in support of the bill. Thank you.
I'm fine. Good afternoon, Chair, and all other members of Parliament, and the parents who are here. As SATU, I'm the Regional Secretary of SATU in Ekurhuleni, Motsamai Mabuya. We are overwhelmingly behind the bill. We support the bill. However, we want to make some few tweaking on certain clauses, like clause 8, on selling of alcohol. You know, schools, those who are teachers, they will know that schools should be places where we develop young minds. We are like surgeons. So we don't need drunkards or people to extend shebeens into schools. We can find creative ways of fundraising. So we totally reject it. And on the issue, Chair, of these that are rejecting this bill, with a view that they want to run away from centralization, they are disingenuous, Chair. They are disingenuous because if they were doing correctly in their own schools, we wouldn't be finding parents or learners without, access to education in the single medium schools. They wouldn't be rejecting. We will be finding democracy in their own rules in those SGPs. So it's contrary, Chair, is that they are discriminatory in application of their policies. So we are saying, Chair, we are fully behind the bill and we are very much encouraged. In fact, we are saying to our government, you are even late in terms of implementing these progressive bills. We are almost 36 years into democracy, and we wonder why were the ministers, from the First Minister Sibusiso Pengu and all our MECs across the country, have not been implementing these amendments. So thank you very much. Thank you.
That's right. Igama ubhekizizwe wakaSluma, isibongo ngwakaSluma futhi asikashintshe. Okay. One, I'm from the National Association of School Governing Bodies. I supported the bill. That's the first one. The second one is that issue Yama grade R's. I also want to support the notion that when you are registered in grade R in a particular school, you must be loaded in a system. And going forward, you must actually not reapply. Because applying to a school is a process on its own. and it has its own challenges. We have seen that. A number of parents have been queuing, trying to get the right space, others been sent from pillar to post. So our system, admission system is still a challenge. So we must actually look into that. The issue of alcohol during sporting days, I partially agree with it, but it has an element of class. Based on compliance, I find that there is no school in the township that will actually qualify to be able to actually bring alcohol or sell alcohol during sporting days, which is a fun day. I find that that's the first problem. Our schools are not equipped in the township to be able to actually comply with what is demanded by the department. So on that basis, let us not even try to implement it, because our inequalities are actually skewed as it is for now. Let us not extend it that even further. The issue of cannabis, I also don't agree with it. We've got a high rate of drug abuse, substance and drug abuse in our schools. And what is the entrance point is DAGA. That is the entrance point. Do we have capacity to control that in our schools? The answer is no. I get a little bit disturbed. The table is very busy. Can you please give us some audience, if you don't mind? The table is very busy, disturbing. So on that note, I find it being very much problematic that we can actually allow DAGA to be made, not to be breaking a law to bring it to schools. So we must not even try to do that at that level, because a number of children, when they have smoked, we don't know whether they're smoking only DAGA or there's anything mixed with it. And who says DAGA doesn't have an effect to the mind of a child or even an elder? So we have to actually look into it and to avoid that at all costs. Yeah, let me just finish there. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sifiso Ngwenya from the African Christian Democratic Party. My position is that we reject the bill that gives the minister powers to determine the language and admission policy, on the basis that there must be an understanding that the minister, whether it's a he or she, is a biological parent to his or her children and cannot make decisions for other children's parents. Parents are old and mature enough to make decisions for their own children through structures such as the SGB. Now, secondly, I also want to say that we reject the BELA bill, and in particularly clause 41, that amends section 61 of the SA Schools Act that allows ministers to make regulation concerning learner pregnancy. We cannot allow teachers to refer children to go get abortion without the consent of parents. Government is not a parent, it is a structure that must listen to parents. Now, the last one, I also want to say that we reject the bill, in particularly clause 41, that amends section 61 of the South African Schools Act, which says that the clause allowed the minister to make regulations concerning learner pregnancy. The DBE's policy on the prevention and management of learner pregnancy includes comprehensive sexuality education, which we oppose. The DBE has forced CSE and scripted lessons paying on schools, and they have stated that as an employer, it can force educators to teach CSE and other programs that are in conflict with the educator's conscience. We are saying as the ACDP that teachers' rights must be protected. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, members of parliament. My name is Janet Kieswetter, and I reject the bill. I'm a qualified teacher, and I have been led by the Lord to homeschool my 5 daughters. And you have heard from many homeschoolers this weekend. And you will be hearing a lot more from us at the other provinces. We can either be a thorn in your side or we can be a blessing to the Department of Education. And we would prefer to be a blessing. I would like to propose solutions that the Department of Education would appreciate from the homeschool community. You have asked us some questions and we are here to answer. You have asked us, how will homeschoolers be held accountable? And how will homeschoolers be monitored by the government? So we hear you. We have some suggestions. We would propose that we have our own in-house monitoring system, which would look like the Health Professions Council. Homeschoolers can be members of their own council for homeschoolers. We understand the methods and curriculums better than an outside person, like someone from the Department of Education. We can monitor one another. Another suggestion is that we submit a portfolio of work instead of assessments. Proof of work is what many American homeschoolers submit to their state education departments. This will address the difference between homeschool approach to grades and subjects to that of the national curriculum. We are already a community that visits with one another and helps each other and advises each other. We uplift the communities in which we live. We do outreaches to underprivileged communities. We give acts of service. We are a blessing to the communities in which we move and serve. So you have heard from some of our children this weekend. They are confident young people, and they will move mountains, and they will be a blessing to the people in which they serve and the communities in which we live in. So allow us to monitor and govern ourselves. Homeschool parents understand deficits, special learning challenges, and even giftedness that their own children have, and they make allowances for that. We would be able to help one another. We will give good advice. We will give suggestion of curriculums. So we are a good support system. We understand that the government wants to monitor us, but we want someone who understands homeschooling. We want people who are savvy with homeschooling, who know the curriculums and understand homeschooling and know the heart of homeschooling. We can gently help each other to reach our goals. In this way, we govern ourselves and we are accountable.
Your time is up.
Good afternoon, honorable members. My name is Fikile Matsinye. I am a mother. I reject the bill. Clause 4 that talks to admission of learners without unfair discrimination. It does not give us clarity as to what is it that we're going to be doing with hundreds and thousands of learners that were undocumented when they started school and they passed matric without documents and they are stuck in the system. They can't go out there. What happens is that they come out and they end up being involved in criminal activity because they've got nothing to do. They're hopeless. We're also looking at clause 4. We would request to have prioritization of a South African child. We cannot have our children turned back. We are told that the schools are full, but we have learners of foreign origin occupying spaces. If you go in any other countries, we are, as South African, also referred as foreign nationals, and we have to follow policy. On clause number 5, adoption of more than one language. It is unfairly discriminatory to the African child because they have to internalize the language, but it gives advantage to an English-speaking and an African-speaking. So we recommend that the curriculum be translated to all official languages. There's also clause 8, which the House today is debating it on the basis that it's selling of alcohol in line with fundraising, but there's other clauses that the chief director did not mention, that it permits letting of schools premises to members of the community for private functions. We know the distraction that's going to come out of that. Who's going to take responsibility for maintenance in the ailing economy? Functions held for the staff members who live on school premises in living quarters provided by the schools. Those are the people that are charged with the responsibility of taking care of our children. Are we saying it's okay for teachers to go and have a function and tomorrow go to school and teach our children with a hangover? Maybe we need to have programs that will assist us to take our children in a competitive space so that they can become a better competitors in the economy. We are sitting with 30% pass mark, which is not assisting us. We would like to see programs that will be preparing matriculants for the outside world, because we see femicide in universities because children were not prepared from grade 10 to grade 12 through life orientation. In that note, we also would like to request public participation of Parliament to take into consideration this city has got 4 million residents, but consultation was done in 5 areas. It's not a true representation of the whole population. Next time, let's do it better. And it's not only for this setting. Each time public participation comes, we don't do it correctly. Thank you.
Your time is up.
Hello.
No.
My name is Eloise Gundlach, and my family rejects the bill, especially clause 37. I feel it is important to note that every child is unique and has their own strengths and weaknesses. Knowing a child is very important. In public schools, my child has suffered immensely from bullying. That's why we started homeschooling in 2021. We can see an immense change in the young lady she is becoming, a confident and eager learner with a passion for learning, for a choice of career. She is not forced to learn above or below her abilities. She merely is learning to use her strengths to become the best at what changes she wants to see in this world. Her aim is to use her kind heart, compassion, and eager hands to heal a little of this broken world. These qualities no school can teach. The provision of the BELA bill, which makes assessment compulsory, will not enhance her learning, but will rather restrict and hinder her. It will be extremely bad for her to be forced to follow a national curriculum as it is not tailored to her needs. Homeschooling is not just school at home. Homeschooling is teaching a lifestyle of learning. Thank you very much.
Right, okay. Good afternoon, all protocol observed. I'm Olga Makhoba. I am a mother, a parent, and I'm the member of the ACDP. So you already know, we reject the bill, as particularly clause 41. I'm going to speak as a parent. It is God's given responsibility for parents to raise up their children in the way they should go, so that when they are old, they will not depart from it. We don't need the government to prescribe to us how our children should be guided and be brought up. The government cannot be trusted. It is the same government that goes back on their word all the time. Therefore, we ask you to amend the bill, this BELA bill, to include freedom of conscience, protection of educators and SGB members. Parents should also have freedom of conscience and be able to protect their children and have the right to opt from CSC classes. CSC classes cannot be separated from the values and belief system of parents, as this involves closely held beliefs.
Sorry, apologies. Can we please just keep it down?
This bill definitely is not progressive at all. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am Chantal Hansen and I represent my family in expressing our opposition to the BELA bill in its totality. The bill presents a serious threat to parents' freedom to educate their children according to their values and beliefs. Our eldest child is homeschooled due to her needs for specialized education, as she has Asperger's, which means that she does not flourish in large groups or forced social interaction. Her cousin is 14 and has been on a waiting list for ALSA in school for over 4 years. We were not about to sit around and wait for a space for her to open up. She was tested for school readiness by an educational psychologist in grade R on request of the school she attended. The educational psychologist made it clear that she would not be an ideal candidate for the CAPS curriculum or a standard school, as she tested at the level of a 12-and-a-half-year-old in mathematics, whilst all her other skills tested were at the age level which was 5.5 years old. I started doing the CAPS grade 1 curriculum with her in the final term of her grade R year. She completed it in 3 months, making no mistakes with little guidance or explanation needed. This would be a disruptive child in a normal classroom, as the curriculum would not keep her engaged. She has since been doing maths at an accelerated speed whilst completing other subjects at an average speed. There's a very real possibility that she will be completing matric standard maths before starting high school. Accelerated learning or taking more time to master concepts would not be possible if a standardization of curriculum is to occur, which would be unfair towards our children to be expected to perform at a uniform level which might be above or below their abilities. Home education should be registered by a process of notification and not application. Inflicting stringent compulsory testing of learners will become a financial burden on parents and make homeschooling unaffordable and thus inaccessible to low-income households, where it can be close to free at the moment. I am against the CSE and the bill being used to enforce the teaching of this topic to children much too young to comprehend it. I believe that parents should have the right to choose the educational approach that best suits their individual children's needs, interests, and abilities. By imposing a centralized curriculum and assessment policy, Section 37 would limit this freedom and undermine the ability to create a personalized, child-centered approach to education. I also object to giving the Minister the power to create policies which have not been made public, and to give the DBE the power to criminalize parents for rejecting such policies. In conclusion, I strongly oppose the BELA bill. I feel such legislation would negatively impact my rights as a parent to educate my children, and I can say with pure conviction that this bill is not in their best interests. We must uphold the principles of parental choice, flexibility, and inclusivity in education for the benefit of all our children. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm a homeschooling mother. I've been teaching in institutions and schools for over 25 years, but the last 4 years, I've just been homeschooling my own children. And it's because I saw the need that couldn't be met in a normal school. And if my children had to be in a normal school at the moment, especially the youngest 3, it would have been difficult for them to cope. So I reject the BELA bill, and okunye bengisafuna ukuphawula nje khona omunye ubaba wakhuluma wathi uma ufana Merva ungafunda isiZulu ngaba kuhle, kodwa cela ukuveza nje khona abantwana abo7 abakha-Vanderbilt abafundayo isiZulu. Ngiyabonga.
Just a minute. Just the latter part to be translated.
Another man asked if
in the Vandermerwe family, can there be anyone who have learned Zulu? So I just want to tell everyone that in the Vandermerwe family, we have 7 kids that are learning isiZulu.
Good afternoon. My name is Tambo Mukwena. I'm the provincial chairperson of ACDP. As ACDP, we reject the bill. Number one, because it is a jumble sale of wrong ideas to the confused of agents of UNESCO. Number two, we oppose the bill, and it's particularly clause 37 that amends section 51. This is the section on homeschooling. Let me remind you, some years ago, when the DBE imposed comprehensive sexual education and scripted lesson plans on school DBE, spokesperson Ndate Elijah stated in the press that the only way parents could opt out of the new CSE lesson is by sending their children to private school or homeschool them. Lo and behold, the citizens, abiding citizens who took in the friendly advice, they co-opted. Parents then took their children out of school to homeschool them, but now the DBE wants to force the CAP curriculum on homeschoolers. That is why I'm saying this is a jumble sale of wrong ideas. So ACDP will not support, and we are asking, let it go back, be recrafted with the new amendments submitted in this House. I thank you.
Good afternoon, members of parliament. My name is Trust Tembandlovu. I'm a member of the SGB at Pagaman School, so I will speak as a parent. I obviously would love to support the bill. The bill contains a lot of good sections, but I have got few things that I think we need to amend. The bill should be amended. They should look at, like everyone was talking about alcohol. I don't know the logic and the reason behind bringing alcohol at school when we have our law enforcement agents being overwhelmed by a lot of criminal cases caused by liquor. And now we need to promote that at our schools. I think perhaps I'm missing something there. If I'm correct, really, we shouldn't entertain liquor at schools, at our schools. And this other issue that I want to highlight, perhaps is on I want to raise is on the issue of language policy. I've noted that sign language has been given the official status, which is good, and I really like that. But I wonder how you are going to implement that in public schools. Is it only for specialized needs, or it applies to all public schools? How are you going to implement that? I'd like that to be looked at also and to be perhaps corrected. I have done a lot of work on research on SGB work, and I have found that there is a lot of work that the SGB members are given. There's a lot of things that are burdened with. And I want to ask if it is possible to look at that bill, or some of those issues, the strict conditions that they work under, to be reviewed. You know, I also have the issue with the fact that they got a lot of work that they should provide at schools. And they are also allowed to do fundraising and stuff like that. But they are not allowed by the act, which is good, but I think you must look at it. Why is it that after working so hard, even fundraising with projects, they are not allowed to benefit?
Your time is up. He did. He did say.
No, call him to confirm. Call him.
Mhlekas, hi, Tata, SGP. Did you say you support or not support the bill? That's what you said, yes. Support. Thank you very much. The right wingers here are making noise, the parliamentarians. Next.
Dumelang, good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Honorable Members. My name is Gideon Pereira. I'm a Christian. I'm also a homeschool alumni. I object to the BELA bill that is being proposed. Specifically, I reject clause 37 with regards to home education. It should be noted that there has been no research done with regards to home education in clause 37 and also no socio-economic impact policy before any proposals such as these are made. It is the belief of homeschoolers that at least, well, it's my personal belief that at least these should be made. The BELA bill, in effect, infringes on the rights of parents to teach their children as they believe is right and to give them the schooling and education they see fitting. The BELA bill, if it becomes law, will require that students be assessed using CAPS, which will basically mean that students will be forced to do the CAPS curriculum in order to pass the assessment. This means a limitation in parents' ability to choose the education of their children. We as a family do not desire that government should interfere in the education we give our children, that they prove to be an offense to us raising up and training up our children in the fear of the Lord. The Bible says, better for anyone who makes a little one to stumble, to be cast in the depths of the sea with a heavy millstone around his neck. It also says that any person by whose account temptation may come, woe unto such people. CSE has been introduced in the CAPS curriculum. Students will be exposed to content and parents will not be able to withdraw their children from these classes without facing a proposed 12 months jail time. That will in effect force parents to give content that will cause a stumbling block to children. Government will be a stumbling block to children. Woe unto government if that be the case. They will have to give account before God. In 1995, homeschoolers gave their input and it was reflected in the SASA Act of 1996. Nothing has changed from what I could see. That was what they said then. Why should it change? What is the reason? Is the department proposing something while not representing the view of the people? Yes, I say so. Thus, I propose changing clause 37 and all the relevant clauses to be in line with the original SASA. We believe in giving our children a Christian-based education and discipling them in the ways of God so that they can follow Jesus and obey and honor God for their entire lives following. With the BELA bill, we will not be able to do this. We would therefore be hindered in imparting our Christian values to our children as we wanted. I propose a practice of notification to be added to SASA so that government may punish parents who abuse their children. My dad was able to instruct me in the way that I should go, and today I serve the Lord. I try to serve the Lord with all my heart, and I'm called to preach the gospel. If government had interfered, perhaps my dad would not have been able to direct and guide me in the right way. We as a family want to teach our children to live as Christians. The BELA bill will be taking away this right. Thank you.
Just for correction purposes, the socio-economic impact was revived in 2020. Just for correction purposes. Thank you. You can proceed.
This is Barel Mapayo, principal of Crystal Park High School. I'll be speaking mostly from the perspective of a teacher. Firstly, I would support the bill with the following suggestions and as amendments. Section 1C, where the bill talks about corporal punishment. Yes, corporal punishment has been accepted, is abolished. But I'm feeling like the way in which it is stretched these days is going into dangerous areas. 2 parts, for instance, talks about scolding. Scolding may be defined as a situation where one raises their voice. As teachers, we are left with 2 things in the trade, the tools of the trade. It's my voice and my face. If you take away my voice by scolding, I'm now corporally punishing a child. It's actually bordering on dangerous grounds. So I would remove the word scolding there because it means that if a teacher finds a situation where either the learners or the teacher and learners have a conflicting situation, by just raising a voice, I'm also guilty. Therefore, if teachers understand this part and interpret it correctly, they will say, I will not interfere where there is a situation of fighting. So remove that part, it's dangerous. Part C of the same document talks about doing exercises. I'm not sure whether Parliament is aware that life orientation as a subject has 2 parts, theory and exercise. So by forcing learners to do exercises, actually I would be found guilty by this part. It's dangerous. Section G, home education. As a principal, my experience is that when parents are advised to take children home to do homeschooling, it doesn't work for black parents in the townships. We've found parents that have taken learners back home and taught them and failed, and they brought back learners around June, July. You are bringing a learner who hasn't done anything from January to June. It's dangerous. As it stands, it doesn't work. Rather, Parliament must communicate with the Department of Basic Education, institutionalize it, raise centers where parents who decide to take learners for homeschooling, when they fail, they must be assisted. Currently, homeschooling says, I have no part in helping a parent in the township who's trying to homeschool their child. It's dangerous as it stands. In terms of the admission of foreign learners, parliamentarians, all protocol observed, currently the situation is that when we take learners in, because of the bill as it stands, we remain with learners who are undocumented, and when that happens, it means if I have 1,000 learners, the Department of Basic Education actually removes the money of the learners who are undocumented, because who are they actually funding? If I'm left with learners who are undocumented, as a result, my allocation is reduced.
Your time is up, Principal.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mudise Mtubane from Men's Forum Madoda and the A Youth. I just wanna know and towards ama people in everything when they quote, did they clearly have that clarity about abantwana abasesikolweni whereby bazokhona ukuthi bakhona ukuthi balithole usizo ngendlela yokuthi zonke izinto ezenzakalayo towards ezikoleni kunezinto ezikhonayo ukuthi government intervene, because there is a triangle whereby there is a community and the SGP and a government. So they take that triangle to be downwards. So just wanna have a clarity, did they manage by about abantwana they gonna come eskolweni ba have alcohol. So I disagree with the bill, because as we are the youth of a community, there are certain challenges we faced when we go to school and ask for procurement, something like that, but they fail to give to give us while we have in every document that they needed. So in everything, when there is some of the things, we wanna know where to go, and we still have that question. Because there are certain things we wanted to know, that is there any part whereby they do audits each and every plus minus in quarterly per year. Because some of the things you feel whereby you ask for some of the things, and then you went to school and approached for some of the things, and they failed to give it to you. And I just wanna say, in a SGP, they had to when they selected the SGP, they had to went and teach them how to implement, because some of the time isn't. You go to school whereby izinto ziyakhona ukuthi zibe abakhona ukuthi babe ne-power towards esikolweni. So in all, I disagree with the bill.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Standing in front of you is Mpume Wagwamasango, the president from BELA and the secretary for Circuit 1. First and foremost, I do not support the bill in Clause 8, amendment of Section 8A. How can we allow alcohol to our school premises? Obviously, as we can see, when people are drunk, they misbehave. So how can we allow that joke to our schools? It is not included in the school of conduct because they know how people get when they are drunk. School is a place to learn, not a place to drink. That's why we have shippings, taverns, clubs, so that we can drink alcohol and be happy. As the new generation, we take things that we do from our homes and bring them to schools. We, as the RCL, we have promised that we will never allow alcohol to our schools, and we shall continue to do so. Instead of agreeing with the Clause 8A, I rather recommend the provision of full-time social workers and psychologists in our school premises. I thank you.
Are you rejecting or supporting the bill, Nana? What is this? Sorry, Pap. Sorry, ke kopa maitshwarelo. Don't come with school languages here. What are you saying?
I reject the bill.
Oh, okay.
Madam Speaker and all honorables, I greet you this afternoon in the name of Jesus. My name is Mr. Enos Muraro Machete. I come from the organization called ACDP. Firstly, Madam Speaker, I just address the question of grade R learners. I understand it seems the parents seems to be unwilling to bring their children to school. The reason being kidnapping of children and many, many other reasons. But Madam Speaker, I have got some few things to put through. Let me just say, Exodus 20, verse 12, it reads as follows. Children, honor your father and your mother so that days of your life may be multiplied. Am I right? The other scripture, Proverbs 22 verse 6 says, train a child the way he should go, so that when he is grown up, he will never depart from that. Now, I think that duty was given to the parents to bring up their children, to determine which way they would like to bring up their children. Now, I understand, I have reading this thing, they're talking about the pregnancies at school, which you and me, we have been at school, but we never saw what is happening today. The rate at which the pregnancies are taking place at schools. You look at lawlessness at school. You start to question yourself, why this lawlessness at school? The other thing, bullying at school. Children are bullying one another until the other children who cannot take it, they go and hang themselves. Why? Do we ask ourselves why? Such a lawlessness at school. Violation of teacher at school. And you look at the crime that is taking place at school. Why such a crime? Now, I read one scripture, Madam Speaker. That scripture tells me that the devil can blind the mind of the wise, which means a person can be wise, but when the devil come along, then he can blind his mind and he does not know what he's doing. Because if you look at all that is happening at the moment at schools, pregnancies, lawlessness, bullying.
Your time is up, Pastor. Thank you. Your time is up, Pastor. Thank you very much. I am told that there is a deaf person that want to say something somewhere here in the hall. Pastor, your date is up. Please go to your chair. Yes. So I'm allowing her because, sorry?
Because we didn't have representation yet.
No. I was told there is a deaf person that wants, you are not deaf.
Representing the Deaf Education Principal Association of South Africa.
So why did you not raise your hand?
I am the person that asked if I can make representation.
No, then now my understanding is that there is a deaf person. So get a form and fill it.
Okay, thank you.
Get a form and fill it on behalf of deaf people. Because I thought there is a deaf person that wants to say something that we could not point. Thank you. We are done with today's proceedings. And I want to say thank you very much to you, the community of Brakpan, Ekurhuleni, Gauteng, Tsakane, for coming and being part of the proceedings of today. We are done. This is the last public hearing in Gauteng as a province. Tomorrow we are going to Mpumalanga to do the one public hearing that we must still do in Embalenhle, in Gertsibande district. So this is the 5th province that we have been doing public participation on. We are going to do KZN next weekend, and then we will be left with Eastern Cape, Northern Cape, and Western Cape as the 3 provinces that we are going to embark on the same process. When we are done with that, we are going to compile a report, a a report which we will be taking to Parliament for us here to debate it. And then it will be for Parliament then to adopt or accept our recommendations of the committee. And then based on what you would have told us to do, we are going to make the amendments as you want us to make them. I want to thank everyone, yourself, the staff of Parliament. I want to thank the officials from DPE that has been with us throughout. And to say that we've had very successful hearings in Gauteng. We have managed to start and finish them as planned. And thank you very much, people of Gauteng. We are done now with Gauteng. Thank you so much.